and we just chillin', kicking it, kissed by the sun. Could be soaked to the skin in the mall soon. I know she got the good vibes when seasons change, but we're the same. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. Even if my jokes sound funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. 'Cause you got me holding. Even if my jokes sound funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. 'Cause you got me holding. Got me holding, holding. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. Even if my jokes sound funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding me up. Play me like a bass guitar, simmer down and mash me up. Tripping like I'm Jimmy at Woodstock. Me up, drumming round in your red Ford, shivers down my spinal cord. Oh, 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 oh. 'Cause you got me holding, holding. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. Even if my jokes sound funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding.
Here's the plan. You sneak past the guards and grab the treasure.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna shop at thriftbooks.com, but there's millions of books for under $5.
Even adventures?
Adventures, fantasy, anything.
Okay, new plan.
All your favorite brands are now at Petco.
As we go, we'll never move forward as a free and great nation if we remain divided. This happened. His integrity, character, and resolve are second to none in this election. Trump is a strong leader. Yeah, he sure is. You can tell that by looking at his the dedication of his followers. But when the going gets
All right, here we go. So today is the Iowa caucus. I mean, the Iowa caucus isn't that big of a deal. It just is the start of the primary. So we'll see. I assume Trump's going to win the delegates, most delegates in Iowa, but we'll see. I think every single person in Iowa is going to get at least one. But we'll watch some live stuff going on at the Iowa caucus. It just started. We should start getting results in about 30 minutes probably. I assume it probably won't be much later than I don't know. We'll say like 12 o'clock that we have all of the results in. I don't know though for sure. You never know anymore these days. But let's I've been studying a Bible passage every single week now, and like we always watch a video on that Bible passage first on the day. So today's is Luke 57 through 62. So it's kind of a short one, but I think that it also is a very meaningful passage. It's kind of a scary passage, too. Oop. There we go. Three questions from Luke.
This is a metabolism killer, this is a metabolism killer, and this is a metabolism killer.
It is a frightening thing to be in a room full of Danny Aikens.
I don't know what that means.
What's even more frightening is that I'm dressed like one of them.
What is a Danny Aiken?
So I've got my cargo pants on that I use overseas when I'm hiking or going into underground house churches. And then I got the email. I don't have a lot of
So this guy must
away
do
golf polos
missionary work.
in my particular wardrobe. So it just so happens that a friend of mine who plays professional golf, actually from here in North Carolina, gave me this shirt a couple of weeks ago. So this sermon is brought to you by Izod, General Electric, and FTI Consulting. But yeah, I feel like I'm going on a mission trip to the Masters. Like, that's the way you roll, though. On mission wherever you go. Would it be
Okay.
that when it comes to a heart for the Great Commission, this room would be full of Danny Aikens? And would it be that I would be counted among them? I know that this has been an overwhelming week for you too, but let me not be the last to thank God for his grace in you, for your love for him, for your devotion to your family,
Equalize request.
for your leadership in this seminary, and for your ministry in the church, for his glory among the nations. And in all of that, to thank God for your ministry to me, your encouragement to me, your example to me, your friendship with me. I count it pure joy to partner together in the gospel with you. If you have a Bible, and I hope you do, I invite you to open with me to Luke chapter 9.
Okay.
Many of you know
I'm going to go like this.
one of the great challenges of going overseas is coming back and trying to communicate what you've seen to people who haven't seen it, what you've heard to people who haven't heard it, what you've smelled to people who haven't smelled it, what you've felt to people who haven't felt it through no fault of their own, simply by nature of the fact that they were not there. You're trying to communicate what God has done on your heart to people who've not walked in the same place at the same time through the same journey that you have. So this is the challenge that I have faced over the last few weeks in particular. About a month ago, I returned from 2 weeks in Nepal. And I usually
Is he gonna-
travel overseas anywhere between 2 and 4
Oh, that's a
times
bot.
a year.
Makes
So
sense.
I'm used to going and coming back, but this trip was unique. God did an unusually deep work in my mind and my heart. A work that I know has potentially huge ramifications for my life and my family.
1 sec, I'm going to check and see if my mic's working well.
In my heart. A work that I know has potentially huge ramifications for my life and my family.
1 sec, I'm going to check and see if my mic's okay. Yeah, it is. Working well.
In my heart. And the church God has entrusted me to lead. So,
What did Green do?
during
I
those
didn't
days
see
I was
it.
in Nepal,
Did they?
I was reading through the book of Luke. Our church is reading through the Bible together over the course of 2 years, and it just so happened we were in Luke while I was in Nepal. So what I want to do this morning is a bit unique. We're going to start here at the end of Luke, but I want to take you on a journey with me through different parts of Luke. as I share with you some of what I saw in Nepal. And in the process, I want to ask you, if I could be so bold, I want to ask you, Dr. Aiken, I want to ask every member of this faculty, remember this staff, every student in this seminary, I want to ask you 3 questions
Ooh.
that I believe each of us individually and all of us collectively in the church, in this culture, in our day, need to ask.
Okay.
And they're based on this story at the end of Luke 9. Verse 57 tells us, as they were walking along the road, someone said to Jesus, "I will follow you wherever you go." And Jesus said to him, "Foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head." To another he said, "Follow me." But he said, "Lord, first let me go and bury my father." And Jesus said to him, "Leave the dead to bury their own dead. But as for you, go and proclaim the kingdom of God." Yet another said, "I will follow you, Lord, but first let me say farewell to those at my home." Jesus said to him, "No one who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is fit for the kingdom of God." 3 questions. For you, for me, for us. 1. Are we going to choose comfort? Or
What?
are we going to choose the cross? Are we going to choose comfort, or are we going to choose the cross? First man in this story says to Jesus, "I'll follow you wherever you go." He's eager, he's willing. Now we know from other gospel accounts this man was a teacher of...
What the fuck is... What is he pissed about? Why did he break the alliance with me? Because I opened that up to... Blue? Maybe? I ain't letting Blue fucking slam into my...
of the law. It was customary for men like him to attach themselves to another teacher in order to promote their own status. By this time, Jesus was pretty popular with the people around him, so he seemed like a good candidate for this man's cultural promotion. Jesus replies, "The Son of Man has no place to lay his head." In other words, if this man followed Jesus, he could expect homelessness to come. And in this way, Jesus was making clear that Christianity was not a path to more comforts, higher status, or greater ease in this world. The road that Jesus walked would not be paved with the prospect of self-advancement. The road that Jesus walked began with the demand for self-denial. He was going, you back up to verse 51, to Jerusalem. He was going to a cross. And this man's saying, "I'll follow you wherever you go." He had just no idea what he's saying. Jesus said earlier to his disciples, earlier in the chapter, verse 23 of chapter 9, "If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross daily, and follow me." Say the same thing over in Luke 14 when a large crowd was gathering around him. And in verse 27 there, he would say, "Whoever does not bear his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple." Clearly, choosing the cross over comfort is a requirement for following Christ. And the chapters that follow Luke 9 just echo this call to leave behind comfort at every turn. To leave behind... Look at chapter 10, verse 3 and 4, when he sends out the 72 here. "Go your way," verse 3 says, "Behold, I'm sending you out as lambs in the midst of wolves." That's not a call to comfort. "Carry no money bag, no knapsack, no sandals, and greet no one on the road." It says, don't take all this stuff with you. I'm calling you to need. You're going to need. Depend on me as a lamb walking into a pack of wolves. That's a call away from comfort to need. You get to the end of this chapter and you see the parable of the Good Samaritan, to go out of your way to love Love God, love your neighbor as yourself, your neediest neighbor, the neighbor that your flesh doesn't want to love, the least likely person to love. Sacrifice your comfort to help them in need. Luke chapter 11, look at verse 42. Jesus is speaking to religious leaders, and he says, "Woe to you, Pharisees, for you tithe mint and rue and every herb, and neglect justice and the love of God. These you ought to have done without neglecting the others." You do your religious duties. Great. But you sit back and settle for injustice in the world right around you. Sure, you're in the synagogue every day giving pennies as a tithe, but you're doing nothing to show God's love to the oppressed and the poor. You keep most for yourselves. Which leads to a stinging indictment in chapter 12. Look at chapter 12, verse 15.
Whoa!
As he said to them, "Take care and be on your guard against all covetousness, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." He told them a parable, saying, "The land of a rich man produced plentifully, and he thought to himself, 'What shall I do? For I have nowhere to store my crops.' And he said, 'I will do this. I will tear down my barns and build larger ones, and there I will store up all my grain and my goods. And I will say to my soul, Soul, you have ample goods laid up for many years. Relax, eat, drink, and be merry.'" Ladies and gentlemen, this is the worldview we live in. Store all you can in barns. Save it for a rainy day. Those who have get more and more and more. This is success in our culture. What does God say? Verse 20, "Fool. Fool, this night your soul is required of you. And the things you have prepared, whose will they be? So is the one who lays up treasure for himself and is not rich toward God." So what does it mean to be rich toward God? Go down to verse 32 in the same chapter, where Jesus tells disciples, "Fear not, little flock, it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." And he commands them, verse 33, "Sell your possessions, give to the needy, provide yourselves with money bags that do not grow old, with a treasure in the heavens that does not fail, for where no thief perishes and no moth destroys, for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." Give your treasure to the needy. This is what Jesus commands, not to store up more comforts, but to sacrifice for those in need. Which then eventually leads to the profound and piercing parable at the end of Luke 16. Go to Luke 16. Luke chapter 16. Jesus, speaking to religious people, says in verse 14, "The Pharisees, who were lovers of money, heard all these things, and they ridiculed him. And he said to them, 'You are those who justify yourselves before men, but God knows your hearts. For what is exalted among men is an abomination in the sight of God.'" They loved money. And they justified it at every turn. So Jesus tells them this story. Verse 19, "There was a rich man who was clothed in purple and fine linen, who feasted sumptuously every day, and at his gate was laid a poor man named Lazarus, covered with sores, who desired to be fed with what fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, even the dogs came and licked his sores. The poor man died and was carried by the angels to Abraham's side. The rich man also died and was buried, and in Hades, being in torment, he lifted up his eyes and saw Abraham far off and Lazarus at his side. And he called out, 'Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus to dip the end of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am in anguish in this flame.' But Abraham said, 'Child, remember that in your lifetime you received your good things, and Lazarus in like manner bad things, but now he is comforted here, and you are in anguish. And besides all this, between us and you a great chasm has been fixed, in order that those who would pass from here to you may not be able, and none may cross from there to us.'" Get the context. Jesus talking to religious people who loved money and justified their indulgence in it in view of the culture around them. Jesus tells them a story about a rich man who ignored the poor man next to him. Brothers and sisters, we need to hear this story. We need to hear it, and we need to be careful not to justify ourselves as we hear it. As we sit in one of the wealthiest places as some of the wealthiest people in the history of the world. Not long ago, I wrote a foreword to revised edition of When Helping Hurts, great book on helping the poor without hurting the poor and yourself in the process. And in that book, the authors, Steve Corbett, Brian Fickert, economics professors at Covenant College, point out that the average American lives on more than $90 a day, while nearly half of the world's population lives on less than $2 a day. And they write, at no time in history has there ever been greater economic disparity in the world than at present. And then speaking specifically about Americans, they say by any measure, we are the richest people ever to walk on planet Earth. So, you and I may not always feel rich, but we are rich.
Yeah.
We are encompassed by the comforts of this world.
Okay, now I got a
The
10.
poor are outside our gate. So,
Bro, does
I
it
and
attack?
pastors went to Nepal, landed in
Oh,
Kathmandu,
shit.
and then helicoptered in to the heights of the Himalayas. We were about 12,000 feet where we landed. It's about as high as you can be and still maintain life on a consistent basis, right at the border between Nepal and Tibet. And we landed in the middle of these mountains, and then over the course of the next 6 days, we hiked out about 90 miles out of them. And it just so happened that on the first day of our trip, we were in Luke 4 in our reading. You don't have to turn there, but you remember where Jesus says, the Spirit of the Lord is on me because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to the captives, recovery of sight to the blind, to set at liberty those who are oppressed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. And those verses set the stage
Oh, I can't even give him a heart.
for 2 weeks of walking among the poor and the oppressed. We're totally disconnected from the outside world. No email, no phone, texting, able to talk home, just not doing anything but dwelling in the middle of the poor and the oppressed. So, the villages we were in, a study was done a few years ago, and they found that half of the children living in these villages die before their 8th birthday. So half their kids don't make it to 8. One mom, 14 kids, 2 made it to adulthood. And they're dying of things like diarrhea, simple things. You take a pill for it, drink some clean water. You don't have either. Cholera outbreak in one village, this infection of the small intestine that causes diarrhea. This outbreak comes about, and within a matter of a couple of weeks, 60 people die. Going from village to village. And I think this was, some people have asked me, like, why was this different? I mean, you've seen poverty in the world. I think part of it was just not being able to escape, not being able to withdraw and call home and be reminded, okay, but just to walk through village after village after village and to see this poverty. And I remember we were walking through one village, and we had packs. Of course, we didn't have much in our packs at all. We had a long way to hike, and so just a couple of little snacks to carry through the 6 days we were there. And the partners that we work with were clear from the beginning to say, now when you go into these villages, they're going to come up, and you'll have kids coming up and running just to get anything they can from your pack. And so, and once you start to give out the one little thing you have, you'll have 10 others there. They're not going to have anything. So we've got long-term plans, our processes in place to address poverty in these areas, but it doesn't need to be you just giving out little things you have to the first people that come up to you. So they were clear about that, and we got into this one village, and there were these girls, these little girls, little boys, running up, and this one little girl, she's reaching up and trying to grab my pack, and so I'm just smiling, and I reach down my hand to her, and she grabs onto my hand, and so we walk, just holding her hand. She's looking up at me, and she realizes I'm not going to give her anything, and we're about to the end of her village, and she tightens her grip on my hand, and she starts reaching up in my pack, and I don't know what to do, and we're about through her village, and so I start to pull my hand away, and she tightens that grip even more, and finally I jerk it away, and as I jerked my hand away from her, I looked back at this little girl's face, and she looks up at me in the eyes with this desperate, angry look on her face, and she tries to spit on me. She wasn't even able to do that, just ended up spitting on herself. Village after village like that, and then to see the most heinous way that sex traffickers are preying on poverty in these villages. These traffickers will come through, and they'll say to these families who can't take care of their kids, will say to them, we have a way to provide for your daughter and your family. And we'll take her down. We'll help her get a good job in the city. She'll make money. She'll be able to send that money back up here. Periodically, we'll bring her back up here where she can visit. And if a family's not convinced by that, then the trafficker will pull out. All it takes is about $100 and say, this will be a pledge of my promise to provide for your family through your daughter. And so these families will give their daughters 15, 10, under 10 years old to these traffickers who will take
That's
them
fucked
down
up.
to Kathmandu, put them in a brothel where they will break them, drug them, rape them repeatedly, and then require them to do whatever men who come into these brothels want them to do. Some of these girls will have 15 to 20 customers a day, and this is their life.
That's
Shamed,
fucked up.
abused, and they can't get out. Police corrupt because they're paid off by the traffickers. Traffickers threaten if the girls leave, the traffickers will go back and kill their families. Some of these girls they keep in Kathmandu, others taken to India or the Middle East, down into North Africa. We're talking thousands and thousands of girls taken from impoverished villages like the ones I'm in. So I'm reading Luke 10, and I'm seeing that the greatest commandment is to love God and to love your neighbor as yourself. And I'm thinking, as myself? As myself? I'm thinking if this were happening to my daughter, to my little girl, I'd do something. What if this were our girls? What if this were our kids dying? I mean, it would change the way we live, wouldn't it? It'd change the way we live, do church, if we loved our neighbors in the world as we do ourselves. What are we doing? Let's stop justifying ourselves. Be honest with each other. We are throwing scraps to the poor in our lives and our churches, and something drastic needs to change. We live in relative affluence that cares little for the poor. We give little thought to children like our own being sold and trafficked for sex, and we can live our entire Christian lives in the confines of churches in our culture while turning a blind eye to starving brothers and sisters around the world. This must not be. And look at our lives, look at our churches. Or is this really, are our churches really what it looks like to gather a group of people who are sacrificing their lives for the spread of the gospel in a world of urgent need? We know there's a difference between peacetime and wartime. Peacetime, we ask, how can I be more comfortable? How can I be entertained? How can I use my resources to indulge myself in pleasure? Wartime, we ask questions like, what can I do to help the cause? Where can I sacrifice to ensure victory? We're on the alert. We're wanting to use our resources for the accomplishment of the mission. Brothers and sisters, we are at war. We're at war. But if you look at our lives and our families, and if you look at our churches, including the church that I lead, it doesn't look like we're at war. But there's a battle that's being waged for the lives of men and women outside our gates. And I'm wondering what would happen if our lives and our families and our churches were organized not for peacetime, but for wartime. What if we were looking right in the face of urgent need, in the face of over 20,000 kids who die today, every single day, of starvation or preventable diseases, or thousands of girls are being trafficked around the world, and we decide we're going to engage in this war. And I know there's not easy answers. I know immediately people say, you don't realize that all these problems are complex. They are complex. These are extremely complex issues. But the idea that says, I can't do everything, so I won't do anything, is straight from the pit of hell. So I ask you, are you going to choose comfort, or are you going to choose the cross? Are you going to spend your life and your ministry coasting through the corridors of casual, comfortable Christianity in this culture? Or are you going to take up the cross?
Are they going into
crucifying your flesh, sacrificing your life to lead the church for the spread of the gospel in a world of urgent need? Are we going to choose the comforts of this world, or are we going to choose the cross of Christ? That's the first question. Now, I want to be careful in talking about material need. I don't want to lose sight of people's far greater spiritual need. Please right to the next question. Question number 2. Are we going to settle for maintenance, or are we going to sacrifice for mission? Are we going to settle for maintenance, or are we going to sacrifice for mission? Back in Luke 9, Jesus initiates the conversation with the second guy, follow me. He said, Lord, first let me go and bury my father. Scholars debate whether or not his father's dad had actually died yet or not. Some believe his dad was about to die. Simply wanted to go back, spend those last couple days with his father, and then give him a proper burial, which is something he would obviously want to do, also something he would need to do. To not bury his father would be to shame his father. Others believe his dad had just died. So his dad's just died, and he just wants to go back and be a part of the funeral. I'll never forget the moment when I got home from preaching at a conference and got a call from my brother crying on the other line saying, David, you need to pray for Dad. Pray for Dad. My dad, best friend in the world. He said, I don't know what's wrong, just pray. And so he hangs up the phone and I just start praying. And for the next hour, I pray until I get a call from my other brother telling me that my dad had just suddenly and unexpectedly passed away from a heart attack. And just remember the raw emotions in a moment like that. And I know many of you are familiar with in different ways, and maybe people in your life that you've lost. Can you imagine that moment? I can't imagine hearing Jesus say, leave the dead to bury their own dead. Doesn't that seem a bit brash? A bit bold? What does this mean? He says, as for you, go and proclaim the kingdom of God. Clearly, when you follow Christ, there is an urgency here that accompanies kingdom proclamation. An urgency, something you would most want and need to do in life. Something even more important than that. Go and proclaim the kingdom of God. Urgency to proclaim the kingdom of God that was there in the first century that I would submit is even greater in the 21st century. Urgency. This region we were in is home to 24 Tibetan Buddhist people groups that are totally unreached with the gospel. They haven't been reached for centuries. These mountains are the birthplace of Hinduism and Buddhism both. Satan has hold there for centuries, for generations. And as we walk to these villages, to go for days, there's 4 or 5 days before we ever met somebody who heard about Jesus before we got there. They haven't heard. They haven't even heard. Centuries they haven't heard. And what was so remarkable about it was, just imagine you're walking in the Himalayas. I mean, it's just glory and grandeur all around you, just the majesty of God on display in those mountains, snow-capped, just beautiful. You know what all of that revelation has brought about in those villages? Condemnation. They have a glimpse of the glory of God, and the only thing it's brought about in their lives for generations has been condemnation and damnation. They have knowledge of God, just like Romans 1 says. They
was about to say, I was
God,
like,
they did not glorified him as God. No, they've not glorified him. They're worshiping all kinds of other gods, spirits, Buddhist monasteries, all across these mountains. So they have knowledge of God to the point where they've rejected him, and they're standing guilty before God, and nobody's ever told them the good news of what Christ has done to make a way for them to be reconciled to the creator of all this. And so I'm sitting there thinking, all of this majesty and creation around them, but none of it as great as what you and I have right now in our hearts. The gospel. It's greater. It's better than the majesty of the Himalayas. The gospel. You and I've got it. We have it. They haven't heard it. Well, one day we're at this is a Hindu holy river, and their custom at this river is to bring family members when they die. Within 24 hours, they bring their loved one to the river. They place the body on a funeral pyre over the river, and they burn the body over the river. That's helpful in the cycle of reincarnation according to their beliefs. And so I'm standing there. We turn a corner and we see this river, and you just imagine a river with funeral pyres and just burning bodies up and down the river. And I'm sitting there looking at these burning physical bodies, and I'm realizing that this is just a picture of a far worse eternal reality at this moment for these people. And most of them, if not all of them, all these bodies, most, if not all of them, never even heard the gospel before they died.
bruh.
Brothers and sisters, what is it going to take for the entire concept of unreached peoples to be totally intolerable to us? This is not right. So I'm reading Luke. Look, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. How can this be? How can there be few workers when there's that big a harvest? And what are we missing here? I'm reading Luke 15, and I'm seeing the father going running after the son, the prodigal son. And I know the God we're worshiping in this room desires every single one of those people groups' salvation. He desires people's salvation. He desires the salvation of the law, 2 Peter 3:9. We know that. He loves them. So wouldn't it make sense then? Wouldn't it make sense if God desires the salvation of all peoples? Revelation 5, Jesus has purchased people from every single people group. If that's the sense that he's pursuing them and we're his children and we have this gospel, wouldn't it make sense with 6,000 plus people groups that the majority of us would be going there? Like not just a select few,
2,
a
3,
couple,
4,
maybe
5, 6,
one person out of
7,
this room might go
8,
down.
9,
Well,
10.
why is the line not really long for Afghanistan? Like, really long. And those who don't go to Afghanistan should redirect somewhere else. Are we going to settle for maintenance? Are we going to settle into a life? It's business as usual. All the while, never really realizing the reality of the world, the unreached world around us. Or are we going to sacrifice for mission? And it will be sacrificed. I mean, brother, in Afghanistan, we've heard news over the last couple of weeks about increased security risks in Afghanistan. Not just in embassy areas, but going into residential areas. And the effects of that. Like, this is not, it's trying to call it anything less than sacrifice. Even in these villages, two people, upon hearing the gospel over and over and over again, trusted in Christ. And when that became known in this Buddhist village, within 2 weeks, they had been stoned. So we've got to decide, is this mission worth our lives? All of that leading to the last question. Will our lives be marked by indecisive minds or undivided hearts? Will our lives be marked by indecisive minds or undivided hearts? This last guy says, I just want to go back and say goodbye to my parents. And she just says, no one who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is fit for the kingdom of God. You know, it's interesting. Each of these guys was putting, in a sense, whether spoken or implied, in conditions and stipulations upon following Christ. And this story is a clear reminder that we do not have the option of following Jesus on our own terms. When we follow him, he has our heart more than anything else in this world. That's why he says later in Luke 14, if you're going to follow after me, you must hate your father, mother, brother, sister, wife, and children. To love Christ in a way that makes our closest relationships in this world look
he messed up.
in comparison. It's an undivided heart. Luke 12, you don't have to turn there just for the sake of time. I've always really wanted to preach this on Christmas. Do you think that I've come to bring peace on earth? Jesus said, no. No, I tell you, division. From now on, in one house, there will be 5 divided, 3 against 2, 2 against 3. There will be divided father against son, son against father, mother against daughter, daughter against mother, mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. This is the issue, isn't it? Like when it comes down to it, this is the issue. Does Jesus have all of our hearts? And here's why I contrast that with indecisive minds, because I know myself. And this is my wrestling even over the last month. I get so conflicted. I become so hesitant. Okay, what do I do? When I start to make a move in one direction, I'll think, wait, am I sure that's a good direction to go in? And I need to wait for some strong confirmation. Like, if I'm supposed to go here or do this or make that decision. And before long, my indecision and delay turns into inaction and disobedience. All while I'm waiting for full confirmation. And it doesn't make sense. Like if I walk by a lake and I see a child drowning in the middle of it, like I don't think, I wonder what I should do. Or wait for, is there anybody I can bounce this off of, what I should do here? Like, do it. You go. You jump in.
Let's see what's going on here.
And we got into everyone. A lot of people asking Kevin Harrelson, why do you support Donald J. Trump?
There we go. Victory.
Korea, Russia, China. I think we're all here tonight because we're very concerned about the world scene, our world economy, the water crisis. Something that affects all Iowans is the fentanyl crisis. And I think we can all agree the current presidential administration isn't doing a very good job.
Let's see. All right, all beginners and intermittent. Yeah.
The watch party will be kicking off here shortly. Some people are starting to arrive, but they haven't made it out to the floor just yet.
I've got to go to the
They are
bathroom real
on
quick.
their way to celebrate tonight, and then of course President Trump will take the stage behind me. But for the meantime, again, the decision desk projecting President Donald J. Trump the winner of the Iowa caucus on the Republican side, and we'll keep you posted here in the election night watch party room as people start to arrive and make.
Great, yeah, so it looks like their election party's happening soon. I'm interested to see what Trump will say. Although I bet they're probably going to wait until some more results come out. We'll see what Charlie Kirk has to say about all this. I'm curious what his coverage is.
Very uneven results where maybe we'll just have had an event that was really successful, got a lot of people in person on his side, and that's just going to vary all across the state. It'd be really interesting if he managed to do a good result. I think a lot of people would like that just because it would prove retail politics isn't dead, whereas everything else about this is clearly indicating you can spend $250 million on a state and have it just do absolutely nothing whatsoever these days.
Yeah, so Jack, walk us through here the
It's so fucking cold at our house
the
right
next
now
steps. They're gonna
because
take the push for New Hampshire, isn't it? Don't you think?
it's
Who makes the push?
it's like negative 20 something over here where I live right now, but like I even put up blankets over our doors, and it still won't get over 60 degrees at my house, inside my house with the heater and stuff.
He's in studio wearing a beanie.
That the MAGA War Room has this up. They just posted it. Bob Vanderplaat.
Well, it's like Tim Pool, bro.
Fox News. I can't tell exactly when this was, a while ago, and said if Trump wins Iowa, it's going to be awfully hard to make the case that you can beat President Trump anywhere. That you can beat him anywhere. Iowa was the one place, and Trump didn't win Iowa in 2016. He came close, but he didn't win in 2016. This was one of the places where it showed there may have been a lane for another candidate. Ted Cruz had a fantastic showing in 2016, was able to make some headwind throughout the Midwest, made his final stand at Indiana. Okay, we all know the history. I was there. Everybody remembers this. But if you could beat Trump in Iowa, then there might be a path. If Iowa gives him a mandate, it's over. Okay, it's all over. And so, sure, they'll try to make, everybody's desperate for a narrative right now. They're desperate for some narrative win. Look, Vivek, he, of course, wants the surprise, would be able to say, I beat somebody, right? If he's able to say he beat somebody, then that puts him on the map and gives him a better leverage position for the rest of the race. If Haley beats DeSantis, then DeSantis is, I mean, I think his political career is over at that point. I think it's just completely over. And then she will, and to your point, Charlie, it will be a Haley Trump race, and the media will try to make this a Haley Trump race.
Looks like we're doing another.
We'll be going. I
Looks like we're doing another.
To Chris Christie and saying, "All right, man, how many meatball subs is it going to take? How many, how many lifetime supply of Golden Corral? What'll it be?" Because she wants those Chris Christie voters up in New Hampshire. This was
another
the only place where we saw Chris Christie really show
North
any
America play. It looks
traction
like
across the entire board. So if Haley's able to get a Christie endorsement going into New Hampshire,
all right, let's shoot some
make
alliance. Make
than
alliance.
Done here in New
Make
Hampshire.
alliance.
There might be some
Make alliance.
motivation. And of
There
course,
we go.
Of course, you're going to see what I predict is a huge consolidation between the DeSantis camp and the Haley camp. We've already seen the money, right? So if you understand establishment politics, and Charlie, you know this better than anyone, regime politics it's money driven. Okay, it's not people driven, it's money driven. So the money went into DeSantis first, okay? Then they tried to prop him up. That was the $250 million.
Are they gonna attack my four with that 6? Okay, no. Good. I was like, what?
Which was always meant to roll over the RGA and so many people.
We kind of just hit on all this. So we'll go over to NBC. Yeah, I mean, they're right about
No, probably not.
that. that. I don't think it's over, though. I don't think winning Iowa gives Trump a mandate because it's setting him up for a tough battle in New Hampshire. If DeSantis drops out or struggles here, Haley is going to be fighting not just for the Christie support, but for the DeSantis support as well. And what he said about, you know, if Trump wins...
You get a close at 12 o'clock? Nice. That's good, babe.
The same is true, but in reverse for DeSantis. If DeSantis can't win Iowa, what is he going to win? Iowa is more conservative, more evangelical. It's older. If he's not going to win in Iowa, he's not going to win in New Hampshire. Or second, even. It's not going to happen for him in South Carolina, which is Nikki Haley's home state. And if he doesn't achieve liftoff by that point, which is 2 months into the race, he's dead on Super Tuesday. That's over for him. So I disagree. And the thing is, as the race narrows and becomes that Trump-Haley race, like I said, then it's a bit more competitive. And then there is a case...
Yeah, I can switch the laundry.
Hypothetically,
I'll do that right
how
now.
well Haley doesn't here will affect how well she does in New Hampshire. That will affect how well she does in her home state, South Carolina. This will have a compound effect, which will lead into Super Tuesday. And the establishment is going to push hard. The liberal media is going to push hard. And there's going to be a lot. I think people are underestimating the extent to which the spotlight will then be on Haley as a foil for Trump. Haley as a woman, Haley as more of an establishmentarian, a moderate. And so I think people are maybe underestimating the threat. I think that, you know, like Chuck Todd said, the Iowa constituency is more representative of
There we go.
constituency nationally. But it doesn't take away from the fact that these contests have...
Is this motherfucker going to attack my 4? If he does, that's going to be some bullshit. Because I'm going to move my 4 out this next round. Okay, good.
Iowa, it happens chronologically. We don't go from Iowa to the whole country. We go from Iowa to New Hampshire. And the numbers are what they are. Chris Christie ran an anti-Trump campaign. He's got 11% in New Hampshire. Who are those 11% going to go for? If Haley has a strong finish, if she comes in second tonight, they're going for Haley. And that's going to put Trump in a bit of a difficult position. And
Yeah, I do want some waters.
South Carolina. Haley's got good numbers in South Carolina, too. Home state advantage. She's got a good showing in New Hampshire. Again, depending on how big that bump is, does that bump her up in South Carolina? So there's always been the story of riding that wave. They gave the same story for Rubio, who was very similar to Haley. Rubio was backed by the establishment, young, minority. You know, he's Cuban, she's Indian. I think they're roughly the same age. He may be a little younger. And they had the same plan, the 1-2-3, where he would finish first in Iowa, or rather 3-2-1 would be third in Iowa, second in New Hampshire, first in, I think, South Carolina came third in that cycle. And they're really doing the same thing with Haley. I mean, not quite a 3-2-1, but they're doing this thing where she's sort of, like in stages, she's able to rise through as the race narrows and then eventually become competitive for Super Tuesday. I think that's a real possibility. So it really all comes down to what kind of finish DeSantis and Haley have.
Yeah.
We got 2% in. Speaking of which, we have a little update. 2%.
I love you too.
Trump's got 55%, Haley with 18, and DeSantis with 17.7. So it's still very early. It's only 2% in, but it looks tight between Haley and DeSantis. Their forecast for the spread is equally narrow. They're predicting Haley with 21% and DeSantis with 18%. So they're New York Times is saying that Haley's going to edge it out by just 3%. So, and that could change. That's an estimate that's just based on 2% reporting. So it's going to change.
Leafy is Hitler.
Really is the conversation is whether or not
I like that name. Haley is a stupid bitch. I assume that they meant is instead of as, but that's funny.
That's right here. If DeSantis drops out before New Hampshire, it's a close call. And there's going to be Democrats voting there. They're not going to be voting in the Democrat primary. They're going to be voting in the Republican primary. They're going to be voting for him.
He should have moved down
Trump
on.
has a much bigger lead. He's got a 58-point lead. It's just not even close. There hasn't been too much.
Let's see what the updates are. Oh yeah.
And then South
Votes.
Carolina, here's Haley.
16 delegates.
40% support.
Haley has.
She gets a huge boost from New
Oh,
Hampshire.
wow. DeSantis is
Don't get me wrong. I still think
ahead of Haley.
I think Trump is safely going to coast to the nomination.
Ramaswamy,
There is a possibility
7%.
just because of how
Hitchens,
talented
Christie.
he is. I think that
Christie has 8 votes.
ultimately, regardless
Hitchens,
of
I
what
didn't even
happens
know
in
that
South Carolina,
Hitchinson was still going to be in this. Next refresh.
DeSantis back in the lead, 19.5 to 17.5.
Let's see when the next refresh happens.
Let's check in on NBC.
Never back down. They are lashing out at the media for projecting this race for former president.
We help individuals and organizations better lead and manage change, and now we're
Yeah, DeSantis is still ahead.
A big part of their platform, their sort of anti-corporate or legacy media position, and this is where they're leading right now. As you know, they're
May
they're
wine
so
where the
good
peaches
in the polls,
grow.
at least not within.
All right, let's see. Send them a heart. Ooh. Are they really pointing their stack at me? Alright. Okay, well. Alright, actually, let's go down like this. Hopefully they don't just fucking suicide into me. That would be ridiculous. I sent them a fucking arrest.
They would not allow meeting in after 8 p.m. And Abby Carr, who saved me a spot, just sent me a note saying they're saying that again on the site. Just FYI.
Alright, not much going on right now. There's no speeches. People aren't. Alright, let's go back. Is this live?
I chose Wix for my business.
Shut up, you
because of
British
its
bitch.
massive scope for functionality and freedom of
I think they
creation.
are going to suicide into
Being
me.
able to integrate and change
Fuck,
and develop
they
at
are.
my own pace. I offer a range of products
Are
and
they?
services. To manage it all from one place is essential. It gave me time back in my day to get going.
Let's see.
The Iowa Republicans making clear tonight that they're going to stick behind him. And you see in those entrance polls there, 2/3 of Iowa Republicans suggesting that
They are going to suicide into
Trump is
me.
convicted in any of these criminal trials.
Oh, they're going to try to get the kill.
For president, you know, Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley both thought in the early parts of 2023 that if in fact indictments were to
Let's
come
see
against
what.
Donald Trump, that they would watch
I
his
don't have a.
support
Ooh, this is
and
very dangerous for
a
me.
share of the Republican Party would lack belief that Donald Trump would be a viable general election candidate. But when you see as part of those exit polls there that just 10% say electability in the general election was their top issue for who they selected, it's notable. And so we should expect Donald Trump to be taking the stage at some point soon with this early call.
All right,
But this
cool.
is a decisive victory.
Whoa,
And
why are they
typically, I know you were
stacking
here
in my?
years ago, Tom, when we watched Ted Cruz beat Donald Trump. And the other concern for these other rivals is funding. You know,
That actually helped me.
Kellyanne Conway, Tom. Kellyanne Conway 8 years ago was actually running the super PAC for Ted Cruz. And we watched big money continue to be spent on his behalf. Essentially, that anti-Trump vote largely coalesced around Ted Cruz. And now there's going to be serious questions about whether Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis can mount a credible, viable campaign that will convince donors that it's still worthy of the investment. Or, as Donald Trump and his team has suggested, it is time for them to step aside, and it's time for the Republican Party to unite around Donald Trump, because they need to turn their attention.
Hopefully pink doesn't break me.
Joe Biden at a time that the Democrats are clearly solely focused on Joe Biden and Joe Biden alone. Tom?
Von Hilliard, who's been camped out in Iowa, covering all things Iowa caucuses, and tonight the Trump Victory Party. We're going to wait to hear from the former president in just a few minutes. 2016, Von brought up that
okay, I get a 10
I
stack.
first met Von Hilliard, of course. I also met the great Ali Vitale, who's at the Nikki Haley watch party tonight. You know, Ali, I do want to ask you.
Nikki Haley.
You covered 2016 with me and so many other great campaign reporters, and you covered Iowa. What was different this time around?
The organization, frankly, especially as I look at what the Trump campaign.
Let's see Tim Pool's.
Differently from the Trump campaign of 2016, Vaughn and I saw
Let's see Tim
the
Pool's.
way that Trump campaign initially in 2016 went through the effort of doing what all these campaigns do, which is collect signatures, get information for people so they can follow up with them, try to get them to commit to caucus, and then that information was lost several weeks before the caucus. That was something that left the Trump campaign in 2016 scrambling. But of course, they were able to go on into New Hampshire and establish themselves as the front runner and quickly coalesce the field. What's different now is everything, not just the organization that's on the ground, but the ways in which Trump, in just the last 8 years from when we all
Just
met each
because
other,
we're apart
has been
doesn't
able
mean we can't stay connected and adventure with friends. There are great ways to keep your D&D campaign running, or even start a new one, all from the comfort of your
D&D.
couch or your computer desk. Here.
What? Why is our alliance over?
That happens. Oh, is this a tweet from Wesley Hunt getting attacked?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Let me. You tweet or Wesley Hunt tweeted this?
Yeah.
Is it violent?
I didn't watch it all the way through.
Let's pull up this clip.
Maybe because I knew they were gonna die.
Gentlemen, this is a tweet from Wesley Hunt. Let me slow down here. Great dude, by the way. He says, tonight at the Timberline Caucus, as I spoke on behalf of President Trump, an enraged man attempted to stop my speech. He shouted Trump was racist. You know, this
Bots
is
hate me. What?
But on this day, of all days, Martin Luther King Day, people of Iowa, just like President Trump, judge me not by the color of my skin, but by the content of my character. The anti-Trump movement is in full-blown meltdown. So let me, let's play this.
Is he smartest or genius?
Well, this is 4 minutes. Do we know what
about a minute.
Should we try to kill Orange or nah? I don't know if I have the ability to.
Maybe go a little bit more.
You know where I said?
There are 60 years on the family.
He rushes the court.
Yep, I can't. What is going on?
What's going on? Wow.
What the fuck is going on here?
He say?
Something about Martin Luther King Day. They're pissed about what? What is this person pissed about?
So how do you know this guy is connected to DeSantis?
I'll just say this was a text I got. He said a DeSantis supporter.
He said, how could you do this on Martin Luther King Jr. Day or something like that?
Do what?
Is that
Elect Donald Trump? No, that guy was black.
No, that's not. No. This guy right here. It's.
I know. I'm sorry. I mean, me and Seamus had more serious arguments than that.
But I'm saying,
yeah, they went at each other.
I don't see skin color. Is the guy who's yelling at Wesley Hunt also a black man?
He appears to be.
Right. I can't.
What is?
It's hard to tell.
What is?
But is that his point, that Wesley Hunt is betraying Martin Luther King or whatever, something like this?
But how?
Who knows?
Oh, they're trying to get the
said something that bothered the audience, but we missed it.
Well, he said, how dare you? He's racist or something like that.
Shout out to Martin Luther King. Let's uphold his.
Well, I think he's getting a lot of flack.
No.
Now. I think the important thing to recognize too is there's a lot of people in history. People need to know the truth about, and if you don't really pay attention, you might just believe the simple things of them. A good example is like Che Guevara. Like that dude was like a really bad guy, but young people just wear his shirt all the time because they don't pay attention. That being said, Martin Luther King Jr. had some great points, but I'm not going to sit here and try and adjudicate the whole debate that's been going on. But a big thing happening
Let's
right
see
now is criticism.
what happens here.
I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but I know people.
MLK's a bitch. All right, if he's smart, he breaks me, and he definitely breaks me. No, he doesn't break me. I'm gonna break him. Maybe.
And then playing it to his wife when he was in jail, trying to, of course, get them divorced. As, of course, a court in Memphis actually found the U.S. government complicit in the assassination of MLK.
Well, take a look at this. From it's on Twitter, on X. The FBI tweeted, "This MLK Day, the FBI honors one of the most prominent leaders of the civil rights movement and reaffirms its commitment to Dr. King's legacy of fairness and equal justice for all." There's a community note that reads, "The FBI engaged in surveillance of King, attempted to discredit him, and used manipulation tactics to influence him to stop organizing. King's family believed the FBI was responsible for his death." So shout out to community
It's not
notes on X.
that they believe. There was an actual court case in Memphis in 1999 that looked at all the evidence, and a jury found the U.S. government complicit in the assassination of MLK.
They paid a civil fee. I think they won.
They won $100, but the $100 was just for the court proceedings to kind of move forward.
I got some bad news for you, Alex. Ron's actually pulled ahead of Nikki by a good amount.
Well, we'll see what happens.
As long as Nikki loses tonight, I'll be happy. Otherwise, I kind of really.
Yeah, fuck Nikki Haley.
Anyone losing to Nikki Haley is just so depressing.
Oh, poor.
Yeah.
I honestly, it even makes me sad to see Chris Christie.
Well, the only reason why Vivek is losing to Nikki is because Vivek and Trump share a lot of followers, I feel like.
Lose to Nikki. It's like,
Well, there's
so
only
brutal.
one. There's only one winner.
Like, my dad's a big Vivek guy, but if he,
Everyone's a loser.
if Vivek wasn't in the picture, he'd support Donald Trump for sure.
The FBI.
You ain't first, you're last.
Just don't want to let this slip. The FBI pre-wrote the suicide note for MLK. Is that correct?
Yep. And they were encouraging him to take his own life when he was going through a difficult time. Yep. They sent letters saying, you got to off yourself, you got to kill yourself, you're a horrible person because of so-and-so.
Signed FBI or what? Signed to fake
No, the
person?
FBI literally was running PSYOPs on MLK.
Where do I know this?
Yep.
The FBI's on files. So the FBI has released these files, and they have they're available on the FBI website.
And the agents who did this were never held accountable. So this was the beginning stages of the FBI under J. Edgar Hoover, who also was a person who was probably being extorted as well for the dresses that he was wearing. But that's the start of the FBI. What are they doing now?
RFK Jr. was just asked about the wiretapping recently, and he defended JFK and
wiretapping
of MLK.
Yep.
Wow. And so, yeah, he's in a.
He said he needed to do it.
Yeah. Why?
Which is crazy.
He's in a tough spot.
Well, why did he think
There's something.
Is he gonna break him?
His father was
I don't know what's happening to RFK Jr., but there has been a huge turnaround in his kind of team that is very kind of bewildering. He was on, admittedly, and we found this out through the documents, but before the documents came out, he said he was on the Lolita Express, which with Jeffrey Epstein and his wife all the way back in the early 1990s. And that's what
Really?
His father was Attorney General overseeing the FBI's operations, and so he's being asked to defend his late father, right, I suppose. Would be what's actually going on. JFK Jr., RFK Jr. is being asked to defend his father's actions. He must have signed off on this. You'd have to assume. I mean, I don't know. But you'd have to assume in some level his father knew about what they were doing to MLK. And so RFK Jr. in a tough spot. I mean, it's your dad, who met his own untimely demise. I mean, obviously, tragically and horrifically. So it's like
probably at the hands of the intel agencies.
Yeah, they said it was Sirhan, some wild guy in a kitchen. But fellas, I do have to bounce.
All right, man.
We're going to celebrate a victory. And
appreciate you hanging out.
We're gonna get a victory.
We are waiting.
Get out of
Hopefully
here.
The Fake can come by.
She's going to be here in a few minutes, according to text that I've been receiving.
A few minutes.
Well, I
We
don't want
know how many
to
a few
give
is.
false hope, but I think 8:15 was the call time. But we'll see.
8:15 was the call time.
Yeah. So 1 minute ago, he's to Vivek's credit. Between the three candidates that are behind Trump right now, he significantly spent less money and is probably overperforming that his predictions were early in the cycle.
And also Nikki Haley's voters, a lot of them probably Democrats.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't even consider her votes to be actual. She's not convincing anybody but Democratic Party to vote for Hillary.
Vivek also worked very hard hitting the ground game here more than I think anyone else. So.
And it's crazy, when Ron DeSantis does an event and he meets people, the people that he meets typically don't like him. Vivek kind of is charismatic, and he has something called Riz.
He has something called Riz.
The guy in the wheelchair getting thrown out of the DeSantis event.
Yeah.
What was that?
So there's a meme
All
team.
right.
It's called the Dilly Meme Team.
What's
It's only 2%.
As it seems, look.
That they
Conservative, more evangelical.
Why the fuck?
Real Donald Trump. With a new government.
He will never be president. I will move to Spain or somewhere.
This sort of anti-Haley jobs.
all of the because and
Generously by Peter Thiel. Nobody was crying out for any of those people to run, and certainly nobody thought that they had a chance of winning. This was a completely top-down coup against Trump through money, and in a way through the Zionists. We'll take a look. We'll see how we're doing here. Results still trickling in. Still at 3%, and again, it's Ron DeSantis.
Tell me about it. He's been Iowa.
Because
I want
boys,
to
does
go
that
to my
send
favorite
signals to Putin and all of the other people that look at us and they say, that is a group of people. And it can
Jorge has always put the ones he loves first, but he's let his own dental care take a back
Huh.
seat. Time.
be and it can be replaced with something much better for everybody.
Break him.
Let it be for everybody, but much better and much more expensive for people and for the government. And we can do it. So, I've watched the politicians. I've dealt with them all my life. If you can't make a good deal with a politician, then there's something wrong with you. You're certainly not very good.
Huh.
And that's what we have representing us. They will never make America great again. They don't even have a chance. They're controlled fully. They're controlled fully by the lobbyists, by the donors, and by the special interests. Fully. They control them. Hey, I have lobbyists. I have to tell you. I have lobbyists that can produce anything.
Where's the best
They're
part?
great. They're saying, Dad, you're going to do something that's going to be so tough. All of my life I've heard that a truly successful person, a really, really successful person, and even modestly successful.
I'm getting sick of the music. Why don't we let's go back to one without the music for the best part.
And make it great again. We can do that. And I will tell you, I love my life. I have a wonderful family. They're saying, Dad, you're going to do something that's going to be so tough. All of my life I've heard that a truly successful person, a really, really successful person, and even modestly successful, cannot run for public office. just can't happen. And yet that's the kind of mindset that you need to make this country great again. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am officially running for President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again.
The moment that started it all. I can't believe it's been 9 years. That was 9 years
For
ago.
real.
And now we're doing it a third time. I'm kind of glad, though, you know, because in a way, if he had won in 2020, it would have been over. If he had won in 16 and then won in 2020, this would be the last year of Trump, and then that would be it. And I don't think that things would have been fixed by now. I think that you almost needed an interregnum, 4 years without Trump, and then you get to expand it. You almost get to delay it. So it's really a 12-year Trump era. And I remember I always used to say this during Stop the Steal. I said maybe it's the best case scenario that Trump loses, or rather, doesn't take office in 2020.
Yes.
And that it happened the way that it did.
Good. That was good.
As opposed to him losing outright or him winning. It was almost the best case scenario that he won but was cheated out of it, and then he challenged it but it didn't work, and we got 4 years of Biden, and you almost get like this perfect dynamic where we got a taste of what normalcy looked like. Because that was really the appeal of Biden, insofar as there was one, was let's just go back to the way things were. Trump being in office is just too much of a drag. He's, you know, the left wants it more than we do. They're pushing everybody so hard because they can't bear him. Let's just let them have what they want. I feel like that there was a big normie appeal to that idea. And then they got a taste of what return to normalcy looks like, which is inflation, 7 million illegals, war in Ukraine, war in the Middle East, war in Taiwan. You know, all these problems that we're having, the crime nationwide, and then the weaponization of the government against Trump and against the J6ers. And I think now it's created like a true revolution. Because now there's like this vengeance. Trump won, and you could tell that Trump, and I feel like a lot of people didn't even take it seriously. Because Trump won in 16 and then declined to persecute Hillary Clinton. And Trump won in 16 and didn't completely clean house in the GOP and in the White House. And so maybe it took 4 years for us to get serious and realize what would be necessary to save the country. Because now, of course, we're coming back and it's vengeance. I mean, we're literally coming back with a vengeance. So 16 he gets in, it was a completely wasted opportunity. So many problems in the first term. It's almost like it was necessary to have this little intermission to aware us of the reality, give us a chance to recuperate and plan the next attack. At least in my opinion, I think when we look at it in retrospect, if Trump wins this third time, we'll maybe look at it as the best possible scenario. Or maybe I'm just being optimistic. But that's how I thought of it back during the deal, that maybe there was a reason that all of this happened.
You know, it's
tonight. I'm not sure.
Let's go here.
Hi everyone, Mark Barden here at Sandy Hook Promise. On December 14th, 2012, my 7-year-old son Daniel was shot to death in his first grade classroom at Sandy Hook Elementary School. The shooter shot and killed 26 individuals in about 4 minutes using an AR-15 military-style assault rifle. There is no place, there's no need, there's no practical application for a military-style assault rifle in civilized society. Please sign the petition and urge Congress to make assault rifles illegal for civilians. There's no practical application in civilized society for assault rifles. We need
Yeah, there is.
Please tell Congress to outlaw them now.
Lane, and now Nikki is the heir apparent to that. Although the hot mic moment that we now have heard many times, I think is indicative of a lot of Chris Christie supporters. So I don't think necessarily all of those voters he had are going to go to Nikki, because I think they don't like her. They like Chris Christie, and so Chris Christie doing that. And look,
He just opened up a shot for me for this guy. He did. That's what he did. He could have attacked here. But no, he opened it up so that he could fucking come after me. Huh. Slimy. That was scummy. Yep. Oh, yes! Oh! It backfired on him. Oh! Well, there we go. We're gonna go right there. I want to give him...
Chris Christie's a savvy politician. He's been around for a while. He knows his way around a microphone.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure that wasn't on purpose, but nonetheless, it happened. And so I don't know that she eclipses Donald Trump there. And we talked about South Carolina. He's up 30 points over Nikki in her old home state. She's not as popular there as a lot of people think on the national stage. When you get down into the Palmetto State, people don't remember her as fondly as some would think. So again, a lot of ifs here.
Yeah.
But in theory, when you're talking about Trump winning the first 2 states, as well he could, you have a month for the first time. It's a very long time. End of February is when we vote in South Carolina. If he wins that state, he's 3-0 and the field's 0-3, and you de facto have a nominee at that point where he's going to be pushing folks, as they are already saying, to coalesce behind him. He's going to say this is a show of force. He's going to say he's the heir apparent to rebuild this country, to take it back to the America First principles and the America First policies that he put in place. And he's going to say these other folks are wasting our time and our money because I'm going to be the nominee. We need to be focused on Joe Biden.
There we go.
Every time. Also, some of that money is going to be focused on his legal fights.
Some of them too.
So there's that too.
But that's also kind of the argument I think they're going to make. Carlos, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, obviously it's a great night for Donald Trump, but he is an incumbent, and he is right around 50%. If this was Joe Biden, everyone would be saying that this was an embarrassment, right? So you can look for candidates like Nikki Haley, like Ron DeSantis, and say, hold on, Donald Trump is the incumbent, and he's getting about half the vote. So I think, you could look at this either glass half empty or half full. And I think you'll hear Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis make the argument that, sure, Donald Trump won, but at 50%, is that the number that what is effectively an incumbent should be making in a state where the electorate is kind of ideal for Donald Trump's candidacy?
Has always been you have to
Fuck off.
You have to consolidate every never Trumper and every Trump skeptical person, and then peel off a little bit. That is a
But every time
very
someone drops
tricky
out,
dance.
some people go to Trump as well.
Listen, I'm so sick of that because we were told to suck it up and do whatever we could to elect goobs like Mitt Romney for years, and all the Republicans did that. And so if Donald Trump becomes the nominee, I'm sorry, it's a choice between chicken or fish. That's all you got. You can't pick something that's not on the ballot. I know people didn't like Herschel Walker on the Republican side, but that's who you had. So you have a choice to make when it comes down to vote. And if Donald Trump's the nominee, it's going to be difficult to do. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, for someone who worked for people like Huckabee and Santorum, I sucked it up and I did what I had to do because I thought the alternative on the left was wrong for the country. The people who are never Trumpers need to understand that when it comes time to cast
You can call Senator Mitt Romney a goof, but he was the nominee for your party, and he still has Republicans, maybe not in the Trump faction at all, that still respect him and that he's a decent guy. Yeah, I want to go to Chuck for a history lesson real quick. Chuck, take us back to 2000. You didn't have an incumbent, but you had a very popular candidate in George W. Bush, and you had John McCain, who was trying to build that coalition in New Hampshire, which he was able to do. But at the end, W was just too popular. It's hard, and now Trump is even more popular than that.
Well, it wasn't just that, though. It goes back to also, I mean, it's sort of similar to what we're seeing with Haley and Trump, right? Because Bush sort of had more of the traditional supporters of the Republican Party. So when the race came to South Carolina, McCain was trying to cobble together this sort of moderate center-right coalition that, frankly, because of Bill Bradley running against Al Gore in the primaries, actually was a problem.
I'm going to shoot him.
Voters, right? And
make an alliance request.
But I want to throw something out here because the real,
make alliance request.
Campaigns, voters do listen to candidates.
Make alliance
and
request.
Pay attention to this debate. How do I know this? Here's the most important issue overall. We know economy and immigration dominating. Foreign policy and abortion were literally barely double digits. But notice who wins among foreign policy voters. Among foreign policy voters, they pick Haley. That tells me voters are at least paying attention to which candidates actually been talking about it. On abortion. If you do care about abortion,
why would you do that? I wanted to move my floor through there.
Ron DeSantis, sitting at 51%. So, it's sort of a reminder now, economy and immigration are the two dominant issues. Trump is 52% amongst economy voters, and among immigration voters, he's at 61%. But it is a reminder that...
Do not attack my floor. I'm going to get it out of there. Oh, you fucking idiot! What a dumb fuck. That was annoying. Red's coming into my... Okay.
That voters are, voters are shaped by how the candidates pursue their campaign. And so, on one hand, Haley's foreign policy credentials are breaking through. On the other hand, Donald Trump has created a different point of view about foreign policy. Her hawkishness is now seen as a negative, and so while he doesn't do well there, it doesn't matter. He's reshaped the party. The old Reagan stool is not three legs that are even anymore. The national security leg's been cut in half, literally, as we showed you.
Chuck, can you go? You're at the most important issue right now. Go back to the most important issues. So you have economy and immigration.
Just dominant, nearly 80%, right?
And that's all Trump.
That's all Trump. He wins over 50%
that's
of votes.
the whole race right there.
That's the thing. Now, ironically, in 2016, the abortion number was closer to 20%. And that helped Cruz. And if it were at 20, if you had 1 in 5 Iowa voters caring about the abortion issue, Ron DeSantis would be doing a lot better. If foreign policy, a more hawkish version, were something that Republican voters cared about, Nikki Haley would be doing better. But their great strengths are not priorities to voters. That's basically probably the easiest way to put it.
All right, Chuck Todd, we appreciate that. We'll be checking back with you as we get more data in. Joining us now here on our panel, David Plouffe, the sole Democrat here on the panel. We kept you over here on this side so these Republican strategists don't get out.
There we go.
David, you helped engineer back-to-back victories for President Obama, even when he was an unknown.
Let me start this. Let's see.
Then, in a limited way, kind of Rumble and Twitter.
Bro, fucking...
is curated content that I think they centrally control in more ways than one that we even don't understand.
Someone needs to do something about
their manipulation of information. is
Them. They got such good fucking
So,
dice too on that
question,
roll.
they manipulated
On
the
that
CIA,
roll
they
from
manipulated
where they took out a bunch of my
now they're doing
troops.
it again,
It was such
with
bullshit.
the exception of Twitter and Rumble, which are directly under attack by the establishment right now. So I think this is why there's such a fervent fight to take those institutions down. Because then when they're down, the establishment can pretty much do whatever they want to us. But now that they're up, I think this is one of the big things that is stopping a big kind of...
Bro, why would they have done that?
Surprise. And a lot of the same old tactics were changed up, so when we have the next big
Fuck,
deal with,
bro.
when we have the next big psyop, it's going to be far more complicated than what we're used to dealing with and have many layers to it where even our reaction, being skeptical of it, could be playing along with the larger game against us as well. So I'm trying to think of this as how they're playing all this out. How could they get away with this? Because they are very maniacal. They do think many steps ahead of us, and they do try to control and limit what we can and cannot listen to.
Let me pull up this story. And speaking of what Luke is talking about, it's a tweet from NBC News. A network of public interest groups and lawmakers.
Oh yeah, I saw this. This is fucking crazy.
Is quietly devising plans to foil any effort on his part to pressure the U.S. military.
Let's see what the
carry out his political
update
agenda.
is.
Sounds like a conspiracy.
No updates.
I mean, I guess the only reason we wouldn't call it a conspiracy is that they're publicly admitting.
Oh, DeSantis is at 22% now.
We've seen this one before. It was the Time magazine.
Ramaswamy still at 7%.
Similar headline about how they saved the
Haley at, I mean, not.
The shadow campaign.
Yeah, 7%. Haley at 20%.
If you click on the article, you could see NBC News trying to justify this by fearing that Trump is a danger to democracy. So they're making the argument, therefore, we have to take down Trump in order to save our government, which is absolutely ridiculous.
I think it's in the comments of the original tweet, but it's Amuse, which is at Amuse, and he says the person behind it is Mary McCord. Yep, this one.
He says, reminder, the woman behind the coup planning reported on NBC is Mary B. McCord, who served as the acting assistant AG for national security from October 2016 to 17. You may recall that she reviewed and approved FISA warrants to surveil Carter Page, a former Trump campaign aide. The FISA court, which approved these warrants in 16-17, later criticized government officials for providing false and misleading information about Page and the infamous Steele dossier. McCord is mentioned in the Justice Department Inspector General report, which identified significant errors and omissions.
Are they just gonna break him?
For warrants to surveil Page. McCord approved the fraudulent allegations against Page. Later, McCord was appointed to advise the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court as an amicus curiae, as I pronounce it. Her role involves providing advice and expertise on matters related to foreign intelligence collection. Today, she is organizing the effort to strip Trump of his power as commander-in-chief. So, is that a coup?
Yeah, that's a coup. She sounds like, I wouldn't call her the queen of the swamp, but maybe like a princess of the deep state, this woman here. And, you know, that's what they have. They kind of dip into, they have their group of deep state, and then they just dip into them and put them in different positions all over the government. So she's one of them, so somebody to watch for.
Dictatorial ways. Trump will use his military if he returns to the White House. Their fear is, it's not the military. I mean, there's two things. I think their fear of his use of the military is going to be withdrawing forces and not engaging in this liberal economic order stuff. But then I think their big fear also is the criminal prosecution of them. Their corrupt actions they took in 2016. And I gotta say, that may mean that Donald Trump has information that may lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton.
I don't know if any information will ever lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton.
17
Yeah, I did like that he walked back the retribution.
Needs to win.
A few days ago, I think it was 3 days ago, he mentioned that he
No
wants to focus
updates.
on building something great in the future.
Share my values.
Coming together.
Most
And, you know,
important
maybe too
candidate
little, too
quality.
late.
Share
He's
my
already been pretty
values.
flagrant
Fight for
that he
people
wants
like
to
me.
don't
Share
know,
my values. That's kind of like a,
harass them.
like
Get back. I don't know
obviously
what he wants
them
to do.
sharing your values
A kind of huge
is like one of the main purposes of why you'd vote for someone. I guess can defeat Joe
They're not being
Biden.
very quiet about it.
Yeah, exactly.
they're kind of you know
Publicly declaring that they're doing it.
They're arrogant
exactly.
about it, yeah.
So again, this also brings into question who's really in charge if you're the president of the United States. Is it the bureaucracy that's embedded within Washington, D.C.? Is it the deep state? As of course, they're trying to solidify decisions before Trump is even in office, before he even makes them. And to give Trump some credit here, Yoel Harari,
Bro, is he gonna hit that 6? If he does, that's fucking crazy.
Yuval.
I'll call him whatever I want to call him.
Yoel's
He doesn't
guy on
deserve. I'll call him
Yoel's
whatever
the
I
guy on
want.
Twitter.
Russell Brand could kiss him all he wants. I'm not gonna be kissing his butt here. Yoel Harari came out and said that if Trump is elected, that he will be dealing the death blow to the global order. Those are major statements made by Yoel. And
Yuval.
it's a statement, Yoel.
It's Yuval.
Yoel. And they are very indicative to essentially a
I
lot
actually
of
think it's
powerful
extremely
people.
important people know the guy's real name is Yuval Harari.
Yuval Noah Harari.
The Time magazine article actually goes on to list everybody involved because they were, had to celebrate and congratulate each other. It says there was a conspiracy unfolding behind the scenes.
Whoa, big batch of votes just jumped
What is he on?
in right away.
Does Chris get
Wow.
more than
From
3?
4% to 26% in the New York Times. Ron DeSantis still in second place with 5,824. Nikki Haley with 5,450. Vivek Ramaswamy with 2,274. Percentages have all remained relatively stable.
Chris Christie has 13 now.
Wow.
He got 10.
I don't know if he can afford to fly all those people out for dinner, but
Yeah, it's a lot.
Ha!
He'll just have dinner for 13 people.
Well, Josie, I wanted to follow along with what you were saying.
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Any other Tuesday, you know?
All right, let's do that again. All right, so there was a conspiracy unfolding behind the scenes, one that both curtailed the protests and coordinated the resistance from CEOs. Both surprises. were the
Bro,
result
those
of
two
a
just
coordinated
going at it.
between
It's
left-wing
hilarious.
activists and business titans. The pact was formalized in a terse, little noticed joint statement of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the AFL-CIO published on Election Day. Both sides would come to see it as some sort of implicit bargain inspired by the summer's massive, sometimes destructive, racial justice protests, in which the forces of labor came together with the forces of capital to keep the peace and oppose Trump's assault on democracy.
wow.
Oh my
I
goodness.
wonder if they called the race for Trump because all the reporters at the precincts just saw a bunch of people wearing Trump signs, chanting Trump over and over again, and they're like, he won. It's yeah.
Yeah, so it was a handshake between business and labor is what they're saying. So that's the deep state.
When did that happen?
That was 2020. It was right after the election. Time magazine posted. They actually, it says a pact. How I read it was a pact. It actually used to say cabal.
That too.
Cabal, and they went in and fixed that.
I think
They took that word out.
that Yuval Noah Harari said that about Trump, that he's the biggest threat to the new order. Is that how he worded it? The new.
He will deal the death blow to the global order.
This is
That
it.
was Yuval. though.
Yeah, this is Yuval Noah Harari, the death blow to the world order. So these World Economic Forum people are trying to build a new world order out of our liberal economic order.
So this
Trump-
is what happens. They create the liberal economic order. You can read it on their own websites, on the CFR website. They talk about the creation of the liberal economic order. It's the financial systems that they have in place. It's SWIFT, it's IMF, it's the World Bank, etc. And then you end up with this viral video of George H.W. Bush saying, we can begin to see a new world order.
Mm-hmm.
New world order goes from being
That was during the Gulf War.
just a descriptive, like an adjective on world order, into a specific proper phrase, the new world order, which becomes a conspiracy theory. What I think really happens is
Is this a bot?
people started
Okay, yeah, it is a bot.
that these powerful individuals were trying to develop a new type of liberal economic order. What they
Has
did
it always
is
been a bot?
lies. This is one way to control when people are getting.
I don't
close
think
to
so.
truth, Is you take control of the movement, of the theories, of the anger, and steer them in the wrong direction. So then New World Order becomes some weird conspiracy theory. They start injecting fake ideas into it to distract everybody, and then New World Order turns into a conspiracy theory phrase that becomes rather meaningless to the average person, and they dismiss it outright.
The globalist, that was another word. Globalist, the globalist.
They said that was an anti-Semitic slur.
And really what
Ha!
it is, what it looks like is a bunch of like international corporations.
It's an anti-Semitic slur. They're claiming it because that it's an anti-Semitic slur because it's true that.
That run them. International monetary system, banking system out of Switzerland. I don't know if it's only out of Switzerland, like Davos. They meet at Davos. It's a lot of these people you consider globalists because they don't adhere to any one country's laws. It's definitely concerning. I think that Yuval is not wrong. Donald Trump. I don't know if it would be a death blow, but he would be a twist of fate, and it would create a new type of challenge to this handing over of American wealth. This $35 trillion that we printed, the 1.6 they just authorized Congress to use next year, 1.6 trillion. That money, I mean, going to the Ukraine, a lot of it went to the Ukraine. It feels like it's being siphoned. That the United States is being siphoned out. They're done with this husk of a country to lead the world order. They want to do some new country or new, probably corporations run the new world order. I think is probably
the recipe of the day.
You guys ever see those fake viral videos that are super annoying where it's this family and they're walking on piles of $100 bills? There's a video of them and a big tractor trailer full of like just probably $50 million in $100 bills, and it's pouring out and they're throwing it in the air.
Who?
It's a really annoying thing that's on Instagram because people will watch it because they think it's real, it's fake. But someone took one of these videos and the Elon Musk parody account posted, you know, breaking secret insider footage from Zelensky's home, and they're walking through just piles and piles of $100 bills and money's just thrown all over.
Well, obviously that's fake.
I think that's how we actually view what's going on with Ukraine. Whether it's actually Zelensky or just a money vacuum to steal our cash to fund a waste of time.
Like, I don't know if we can stop it, man. This is part of what concerns me. I'm not going to scream no. You know, there's better ways.
I feel bad for Red. Red just went in and got into a battle with a fucking bot, and now he's going to die. He's gonna get one more turn, and then I'm gonna kill him. I feel bad for him. Does he attack even? Honestly, the smart move for him would be to not attack. Should I kill him? No, I shouldn't. But I am going to move my stack out. There we go. Because I think this game's going to be over soon. Does Green have a good line to kill Red? I don't think so. Oh, he might. Huh?
From the creation of something you hate than to scream no. But like, what? I mean, do you guys? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, they did just say that Switzerland's going to broker, or they'd asked Switzerland and China, was it? Is that right? To broker a deal.
I don't know if he's going to be able to get this. Let's see.
Well, the specific news article is Zelensky asking.
Oh, he got it.
If they can hold peace talks and involve China in, that's the specific news report.
All right, so that means hopefully this is the end of the Ukraine war and sending them money. I mean, ideally, if I want to be an optimist.
Maybe the end, but then what will happen is if
Fuck, I might lose this just because. Okay, no. Time is it? It's not even 8 yet.
I agree, and I get it, but at the same time, I mean, I guess maybe this is just looking at the bright side. He beat Chris Christie, and Chris Christie's, you know, a well-known name.
He's hard to beat. Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah,
His
Christie
run
wasn't.
at you know, politics and stuff.
Could you imagine Christie actually trying to come out here and go to all the districts?
The memes.
I don't think anybody worked as hard as Vivek did in order to, you know, get the amount of support that he did. So that's admirable. Look, Vivek was trying to convince Trump supporters to vote for him. Yeah. That's a ridiculous proposition in the long run. The plan.
Let's see what happens here. Does he break? Does he break me? Or does he go for? He goes for him. All right. That was actually good for me. Oof. My stacks are kind of... one of my stacks are in because we're about to go into a 1v1. He's gonna get another set. Uh-oh. Let's see. I guess we'll see what happens.
Or something like that. I like the idea. But going to Trump supporters and saying, save Trump by voting for me is just like, come on, man. It's just not going to work.
Especially this early. You know, he's still got a ways until he starts actually having to show up in court and stuff like that. So there's still, you know, it's not set in stone that he's not going to be on the ballot. Although, I mean, personally, I think that it's likely that there'll be a lot of efforts to keep him off the ballot, and whatever they can do, they'll do. But I don't think that it's compelling to the average voter, because the average Trump supporter is currently still thinking he's gonna be able to beat the charges. You know?
I wonder what so when we were planning this whole thing out, the original idea was to come just for today, and we ultimately decided, because of the debate with Vivek, we would do this town hall and, you know, have him on. So it ended up working out really well. But I'm genuinely curious as to, I mean, I'll just say it, like, when we were planning this, Vivek said he would come on the show on Monday following the caucus. I'm wondering what changed with the results, what they expected, what happened on the road. Perhaps it's weather, I don't know. But as to why they're like, we're not going to make it, do the show without him. I'm like, okay.
Probably this 8%. I mean, it's a gut punch to anyone that was supporting that guy and had hope. That's like,
he worked.
Let's see what happens here.
He went to every county, I think, more than once.
I mean, Luke, you were on the road with them 2 days ago, like 16 hours?
17 hours.
17 hours on the road.
Yep.
And you guys drove all over the state?
What did you do? What did you do wrong with it?
No, they drove 3 hours away to 6 different events, and then 3 hours back, which turned into more like 8 hours back.
Okay, what is he doing here?
So we got the super chat. I think it's interesting. Richard Contini Jr. said, I just left the caucus. Ron showed
Ah.
up. Speaker for Nikki was a Democrat. Trump 24, let's go.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Phil, what's the solution, man?
Solution to what?
Bypassing the New World Order, creating a global order that represents American values.
You're asking
Yeah,
the most.
Phil.
You're asking the most black-pilled person sitting here. I'm dubious as to if there is a solution. But I do think that it's not going to be politicians. I think that it's going to be a situation where you have to have people that are not looking to the government to do things for them. And
Yeah, I lost.
That's something that starts with parents and the way they raise their kids, and it starts with culture, and it's not as much as I think it's important to have the right people in positions of power, just because of the fact that if you have the wrong people in positions of power, they're going to impose things on your life that you're not interested in, things that even the fact that they want to impose things on you is bad. That they want to impose things on anyone is bad.
Yeah.
So go ahead. No. Just I'll wrap your idea and then I'm going to jump.
It's just that, I mean, that's just I've lost my mind.
Go ahead.
I'm going to ask a different question. Finish your point. I don't want to.
If you believe voting is going to save you, you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
We need something more than just voting. We need to take personal responsibility for our lives, which I think is
That's
more important than anything else.
And that is, Mike Cernovich had a great tweet a long time ago. He said, make money, raise your family, protect your kids, and that's the first step.
That sucks. Why would you do that? No, you attack with that one, yeah.
Right, because Bush, this moment, Shaq Brewster, one of our campaign reporters, is camped out over there where it is very cold as well. Shaq, tell me what you're hearing. We projected a Trump win here in Iowa. It's not a huge surprise, but
doing as well, and
he's now creeping up to 53% of the vote. Ron DeSantis.
All right, let's see who's all on. Let's see this. I don't feel like signing in. Glenn Greenwald. All right, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back, and then we will Let's see what
An award-winning trading app that is as easy to set up as your favorite playlist. Voted most popular broker 2022 by TradingView Awards. Open an account at www.owanda.com. Leverage trading is high risk. Losses can exceed.
It's so hard to get to a grandmaster playing classic fixed.
One simple but brilliant trick to heat your home
Iraq.
In 90 seconds and save thousands of dollars on your heating
Vivek
bill
is a
this winter.
Republican Obama. What does he mean by that? Because he's brown?
One simple but
Bro, what the fuck is up
brilliant
with
trick to heat your
this
home
ad? I just
in 90 seconds and
skipped
save
this ad. This is bullshit.
thousands of dollars on your heating bill this
about the South, about the Northeast, about the Rust
Who
Belt,
is this
all of
guy?
these places that have been artificially
I don't know who
depressed
this guy
and
is.
depressed by policies, whether it be outsourcing.
All right,
whether
what's
it
the
be
move
displacement
here?
Placement, open borders, mass migration policies, whether it be the ethnic cleansing of our
we go.
cities on the backs of the
Make
60s
alliance.
riots and MLK.
We do the make
whether it be
alliances
so many of
fast.
these things, that's really what Vivek is able to speak to. Is Trump about to speak? Is that what people are saying?
You know that I just wanted to alert the audience because we just got the feed. It's imminent. And sorry, Jack, didn't mean to cut you off.
Okay.
Is that
No,
any,
I saw the notification.
any second now, Trump is going to take the stage. We're going to take this live, everybody. You're going to see the Trump speech. We're going to react to it live here. This is a triumphant win, and I just want to emphasize this. What a man! What a man! 700 years in federal prison. He's facing. They try to take his entire business empire, and he doubles and triples down. This was not part of the plan. The plan for the Uniparty over the last year, everybody, was can we get him into a bitter, nasty primary? This was the sleepiest primary I've ever seen. Literally,
This is good.
The sleepiest primary I've ever seen. And Donald Trump
They both
did
just
not
locked
fall
themselves
for the debate
into
trap. Tyler, Ronna McRomney, RNC chair. By the way, how many of you want to see Ronna McRomney go down? Tyler has a plan to get rid of Ronna McRomney, either in Vegas or at the convention, right? We have a plan. There are real things that are in motion to get rid of Ronna McRomney. She's got to go. But Tyler, this was an embarrassment for Ronna that he didn't do the debates. What a stroke of genius for Donald Trump not to do the debate.
There we go.
I mean, can you imagine if he would have done the debates and it would have mixed things? There's no reason to. These debates were so poorly put together. No one watched them. Who's gonna watch a debate? What were the partners? NBC, CNN. Where do they do these debates?
Yeah, no, it was
not
a-
anywhere that any of us watch.
Remember when I think we learned that there was a debate last week with an
Nobody
hour to
watched
go?
it.
Like,
Nobody watched it.
and we
This
do
is
this
crazy.
full time.
There's
this
more
is our
people
job.
watching our stream tonight than watched as some of these debates. So, I'm going to tell you this. We have a real problem on our hands, and this is what we warned of last winter. A year ago, Charlie was in the thick of it here with us, and with the good RNC members that were there that were saying, "Hey,
he moves
donors are not gonna
in.
give to the RNC." The
Everything we've said was right on this.
the common man that we should be looking to, the grassroots, is not a fan of what's happening to the RNC. What does the RNC do? The number one job of the RNC is to simply do the convention, make sure a platform is passed, hold the debates, and then try not to create more damage than good. And the unfortunate part is all of those things have gone wrong, off track this whole year. The RNC is raising less money than it ever has. The debates were a complete joke, was a waste of time. They're not on track for their goals for the convention. So everybody here has to understand that is not putting us in a good position to help President Trump become 47, Trump 47.
No, and by the way, tonight is the message. He wins by 50+ points, 50+%. We got to end this primary.
It's over.
It's over. It's done. Game. By the way, this is one of the closest states.
Stop messing around.
This is the one where they spent $1 gazillion.
You want to see a bloodbath? Wait till Tennessee. Okay, wait till Texas.
This is the state that rewards a ground game.
Yeah, wait for Arizona. Donald Trump's going to win with 85%.
This is the state that rewards a ground game, where Trump has a lot of other things on his mind. His ground game was not as robust. These guys had a year to build it out, and this is what they get. Every other state is you can just go to the elementary school and cast a ballot. You think it's going to get better for them?
No, it's only going to get worse. And so let me just take a step back here. We have an amazing amount of work to do. Okay, we have to hire ballot chasers. We have to register voters. We have to secure our elections. That $250 million that was vaporized would have been helpful.
Throw it into the furnace.
But understand, every single day is a gift. Yes, please.
Can I explain why it's worse than that, though, Charlie? This is one of the most critically overlooked parts of what damage was done in Iowa. What Iowa, by the way, is considered a swing state. It may be one of the least important of the swing states, but it's a swing state, right? Obama won it twice. It was supposed to be very close in 16. It ended up being less and less, right? But with Trump. But do you know what our friends over at Americans for Prosperity have done? The Koch network.
What?
They converted a bunch of Democrats as registered Republicans.
That's
today.
right. No, so pause. Just so everyone, Nikki is overperforming because a bunch of Democrats crossed over and caucused for the first time ever in Republican for a day.
Probably 5% of the vote is Democrats in Iowa today. Maybe more, right? Maybe more. Because Americans for Prosperity and groups like that, which are really bad, this is really evil. I'm going to explain to you exactly why it's evil. They are taking advantage of same-day voter registration states, which should not exist, and converting Democrats over to vote for
What a
their
douche.
candidate. Well, why are they doing that? Because they don't want to go knock on doors and try to convince conservatives to vote for Nikki Haley. That would be difficult. That would be a really arduous task. The easier thing to do is knock on the door and say, hey, I know you're a Democrat, but do you hate Donald Trump? And when that person says yes, they go, did you know you can do something about it? This is what they're doing at the door. And it's not just that group. There's many groups doing this. The reason why this is so nefarious and so evil is because what ends up happening is a percentage of those people they've converted end up on the Republican voter rolls through November, which means when we're chasing ballots for not just Donald Trump, not just the Senate candidate in your state, not just the person running for even state legislature, but the guy running for school board, we're knocking on the door of Democrats who are registered Republicans, but they're actually Democrats because groups like this spent $100+ million converting them just as registered Republicans just to help Nikki Haley. So what ends up happening is we spend more money accidentally turning out Democrats because of groups like AFP. It's totally wrong.
One sec, Jack. I want to just say hello to everyone on Real America's Voice. Reminder, there's a 3-hour juggernaut. It's actually 5 hours if you count Bannon. 2 hours of Bannon, 2 hours Charlie Kirk show, 1 hour of Jack in the middle part of the day. So if you guys are just tuning into the Real America's Voice channel, you're flipping through channels, you want to see this, you say, hey, we're going live here. We just want to remind you guys, we are live every single day in the middle part of the day. And also, please subscribe to our podcast here. Any minute, Donald Trump is going to come up on stage. We're going to take it live here. The results of the Iowa caucus keep on coming in. This is awfully predictive now. 40% of the votes in. Donald Trump hovering right around 53%. Ron DeSantis around 20%. Nikki Haley around 18.7%, with some of the estimated votes remaining from the most conservative corners of the state of Iowa, and they're coming in, and hopefully coming in the next couple of minutes. And so I want to build this out even further. By the way, look at that crowd for Donald Trump. I'm a little bitter. I got to be honest, Jack. I have a little bitterness right now. And look, I've had blinders on a little bit, but I was pretty upset because, and Tyler will attest to this, we could not have been more magnanimous, more fair, and more transparent to get Governor DeSantis to come to our Turning Point Action event this summer. I could not have been more fair and honest about that whole thing. And they said, oh, we don't need to do that. We have our own operation. I said, okay.
Good.
So they spent all this money on Iowa, and the nastiness that they were throwing towards us was just terrible. And, they say, oh, the Trump people are nasty. Look, I mean, I never attacked any of them. In fact, I've been very, very, hey, look at how great DeSantis is and all this. But I'm bitter, Jack, because I would have expected better out of the DeSantis camp, considering they took hundreds of millions of dollars that should have been spent. Hundreds of millions of dollars that should have been spent on a general election. For what? For ego? For pride? We don't get that money back, Jack. Ron DeSantis' legacy very well might be that he made it harder for us to take back the White House in 2024. Precious money, precious resources that Ron DeSantis could have owned and championed. He could have had the Ron DeSantis Super PAC. He could have called it that and gone across the country as America's governor, endorsed Trump early, hired an army of ballot chasers, sold a book to 1 million people. He could have just been the most popular person ever. Yet tonight, Ron DeSantis, unfortunately and tragically, has become, I don't want to say a laughingstock, Jack, but it's not a good night. Jack?
Well, unfortunately, I think what DeSantis is waking up to, and we'll see, right? We'll see, you know, as people go through the stages of grief and as the DeSantis supporters go through the stages of grief, I wonder if at some point they will ever begin to question their priors. And I wonder if they will ever get to the point where they consider the fact, and I tweeted this over a year ago, I said there are powerful forces in this country that are trying to incite a civil war within MAGA in order to help Joe Biden win the general election.
Bro, that's so fucking gay. It's just all dudes trade.
Governor DeSantis, they used you. That's why all the establishment money lined up behind you. That's why the Koch networks, that's why Ken Griffin was pledging all this money, which, by the way, never even made it to your accounts. You were just a vehicle to them. Here was the cost-benefit analysis. The pros were potentially you could win and then get Trump off the ballot. But if you didn't win, right, even if you didn't win, then you could still provide a wedge for MAGA and for the Trump voters. This was the establishment play, and Ron DeSantis decided to go along with this and decided to go along. And maybe he didn't realize what was going on around him, which, you know, that's what I'd love to ask him about. But what's amazing to me is that the voters saw through it. The voters saw through the trick. The voters saw through the trap, and they said, we're not going to let the deep state, we're not going to let the Department of Justice choose our nominee for us. And I'll just say, just imagine living, right, as an adult, living in the United States, living your entire life, and then deciding to be a DeSantis influencer. I can't for the life of me imagine what those people are going to, like, how do you show your face? How do you show your face after something like this, after an utter humiliation like this? And I understand some people have decided to come to the light and see things.
Okay, whatever.
And that's great. You know, that's really great. I appreciate that. And I'm more than happy to, you know, to welcome people to the train and understand where the train is, but things are not going to be the way they were. And I'm just sorry, but that's how it has to be. You guys chose to do this. You guys chose to run this way. You guys chose to lie to everybody. And that's the bottom of it. But Charlie, I remember how nasty they were. I remember the vitriol that was directed towards Turning Point USA. I remember the vitriol that was directed towards anyone who had been a Trump supporter, who remained a Trump supporter. I remember all of this, and I'm sorry, but I can't just let that slide. I really can't.
Everybody, you can email us freedom@charlie.
Bro, this is such bullshit. I'm just getting targeted by each one of them. Attack the other guy.
Will be taking the stage soon. We have to unify pronto. We have got to unify the party, and I just want to emphasize one of the results here. The result, yeah, it's coming in 39%. Nikki Haley, right around 8,407 votes. The entire northwestern.
Does he
part of
just
Iowa
break me
is
again?
Slow to report. And by the way, the results are going to come in. Chris Christie has 17 votes. 17 votes. So that he's definitely punching above his weight.
I'm really
Just
inspired
this
by
one
this Ryan
golden corral.
Binkley guy.
Huh?
Ryan Binkley. I've never heard of this guy, but he's lapping the field on NASA.
He was at our event.
He sponsored
was
it
he?
at the
sponsored
Turning Point Action
ActCon
event.
last
All
year,
right,
yeah.
I take it back. I love you, Ryan Binkley.
Ryan Binkley is overperforming.
Yeah, he's crushing it.
Motherfucker!
Can you imagine
1 in
being a
200
governor?
people in Iowa are back in the Bink.
Can you imagine being a former governor, having spent significant money? Asa spent.
Yeah, they're just coming for me.
Pretty decent amount of money in Iowa.
Asa has no money.
No, he spent a little bit of.
I think that they.
in Iowa.
I think that they were working together. I haven't seen them attack. That's fucked. Yeah, he didn't even attack that one until he got me killed. Let me look at the... I'm gonna look at the game logs. Tax black, tax black, tax black. Huh. That's fucked. Only 8:13. Join.
He did TV, I think.
Really? I mean,
Let's see what
There wasn't a lot of TV, but I'm saying, like, can you imagine to get only 67 people?
So Trump is going to be speaking any minute now. He's going to be coming up there. Email us, freedom@charliekirk.com, and subscribe to our podcast. So I want to play some tape here. There's a lot of media reaction coming in. So, and by the way, the media, they have to spin this as a quote-unquote, like, insurrection. One of my favorite article titles is Rolling Stone. Trump barely tries in Iowa and still dominates caucus. I love that.
That's the idea. That's why this was pointless.
That's why this was a complete waste of money. Let's play Jen Psaki. Play cut 37.
New Hampshire. And I think to the point that you made, Steph, I mean, it's the elephant in the room. She's still a brown lady that's got to try to win in a party that is deeply anti-immigrant and which accepts the notion that you can say immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. She's getting, you know, birthered by Donald Trump. And I don't care how much the donor class likes her, which will ramp up a lot, the better she does in New Hampshire. So it's still a challenge. I don't see how she becomes the nominee of that party with Donald Trump still around. I can't picture it happening. Maybe it could happen.
Your reaction.
Oh, no.
Jack, what's your reaction there?
I mean, it's meltdowns. It's complete meltdowns, right? Because keep in mind, Charlie, these are the people who are supposed to be the gatekeepers of the narrative, the gatekeepers of the truth, the gatekeepers of the good, the gatekeepers of the revolution.
Bad play by
revolution
him.
that began in the 1960s and continues on today, right? These are the people that birthed the woke movement, that birthed the DEI movement, everything, tearing down our statues, tearing down statues of Christopher Columbus, tearing down statues of our heroes, tearing down George Washington and Thomas Jefferson
that was
and all
a
the
bot.
rest of it. And they can't for the life of them believe that the people of this country would have a problem with it and the people of this country would ever respond in such a way. And so they've got to find a way, just like the DeSimps are going through their stages of grief right now, you've got to have the mainstream media find a way to explain it away. And this is, and by the way, I can't believe Putin did it again. Putin has done it again, folks. Putin somehow has infiltrated the Caucus of Iowa.
Look at the power of mail-in ballots. Blake is eager to say a point.
Well, I just want to, anytime people donate, I want to make sure we get to their comments. So since he was mentioning
100%.
those 60s radicals, Franklin779 said, "Hi, Charlie, great show today. Chronicles of the Revolution by Blake and Poso was also great. We hit the 60s in one of those episodes." And then he talked about the other exciting thing we did today. We decided to pick a fight with the most sacred figure in American history.
Yeah, by the way, so you get a twofer, okay? Everybody, here's what we can do. You guys can subscribe to the podcast and email us proof of subscription, freedom@charliekirk.com, and listen to the MLK conversation, which is going viral, and also get in the running to get a signed copy of my book, The College Scam. It is a bundle deal like none other. A free MLK episode and potentially a free book. So subscribe and email us, freedom@charliekirk.com. I want to remind you and shout out the Real America's Voice team. Parker, they work so hard. They're amazing. Every day, every single day, Jack and I are broadcasting live on this beautiful network. Turn off all that other cable news noise and make this your go-to destination. You heard it here first. This is the place for 2024, okay? This is the place. Make Real America's Voice appointment viewing, okay? They do a great job. You have Bannon, you have this program, and then you have Jack. It's absolutely incredible. Okay, so the Ron DeSantis campaign manager, he doesn't understand the concept of continuing to dig a hole. He is crying the race was called before people were done voting. Play cut 40.
Precincts in front of hundreds of voters.
Oof.
And while I'm presenting and delivering the closing argument for Ron DeSantis and actually flipping voters, people start getting alerts on their phones saying the race is over before they've even won. One guy said, why do we even bother voting if it's already over? That is absurd. That challenges the very tenets of our Republican democracy, and that should not happen. We still expect a good night. I know it's going to take a while for votes to come in, but you can't taint the process like that. Having a victory declared before people have even voted, before arguments have been heard, that's not right.
Okay, so what's this guy's name?
Charlie, I don't know.
He should be blacklisted from anything important in politics. Okay, go open up a Taco Bell.
I just want you
Republican
to
democracy.
What's a Republican democracy?
No, I was going to say you should be deported for that kind of language.
It's like Glengarry Glen Ross. Great father, go home and play with your kids.
Yeah.
Missing a phrase in the middle there. Real quick, I do want to, again, I just like to hit these because they pay for them. Retroist says Bill Mitchell is having a Twitter implosion tonight. Pure comedy. Thanks, Charlie.
Yeah,
Vacillate.
All right, let's go and watch. See what these guys are talking about. No. Whoa! What the fuck? I thought that you were gonna try to move into. Fuck.
Over 10,000 people have died in Gaza already, with Israeli drone strikes and missile strikes striking hospitals, churches, schools, refugee camps. It's obvious that they need our help. No other country is helping them out, yet the Muslim Ummah is getting united due to this catastrophe, and we ask Allah to help us out. But the real chance is for helping them yourself.
Nah, that's kind of cringe.
Whatever you can to help our brothers and sisters.
Yeah, don't do that. I'm pretty sure that's illegal. So.
Fuck.
Is that an Aaron Rodgers? No, it's not. Aaron Rodgers on the Jets now, right?
Randall Cobb.
Oh, okay.
He's on the Jets too now. But,
oh, right. Well,
So my name is Jason Heitman. Tim, you're the first person in my entire life to get my name right on the first try. When I super chatted. Yeah. Those teachers really made
I'm gonna have to go for.
You're doing it on purpose, though.
No, they say like Jazzin, and then everyone laughs at me and stuff. Jaazan.
Huh.
But so my question, well, I was really complaining about my state politics here. I'm from Wisconsin, obviously, and no one's really talking about what's going on in our state right now. I feel like we're losing our state. Last election,
I do too.
Last election, not a lot of turnout on the conservative side. We elected a Supreme Court justice for our state, a liberal, and she ran on the fact that our maps are gerrymandered. And now they just decide that our maps are unconstitutional. They're going to redraw the maps for this next election, and all of our congressional seats are going to be up for re-election.
Wow, all of them.
That's what I heard.
Wow.
It could, take that with a grain of salt, but that's what I heard.
Gerrymander a state?
What's that?
They gerrymandered a state?
They say that our maps are gerrymandered towards the conservatives after the last census, that we gerrymandered them. So now instead, we always do it every census, is we redraw the maps.
Right.
Now they're saying they're gerrymandered, unconstitutional. Now there's a liberal majority in the Supreme Court.
I don't like what I have to do here, but.
Next election.
This could be why the RNC is going to be in Milwaukee. So that'll be interesting. I think there's going to be a push for Wisconsin. It's a very important state to not let Democrats take over. But, if they pull that, they're taking over.
It's a very purple state. I mean, where I live, it's really I live by UW Oshkosh. It's like the north end of the city is very liberal because of the college, and then south end is very conservative. It's everywhere you go, you don't know who's on your side.
Yeah, that's how it usually is. The people who do the actual work that makes this country happen vote on the right, and then the people who are in the institutionalized learning facilities vote left.
That's the kind of thing that the RNC should be fighting. They should have lawyers. They should be looking to prevent that kind of stuff. This is one of the reasons why Ron McDaniels is such a failure and such a
fuck.
I don't know what why they're not trying to play ball, like trying to defend the system as it is. This is part of the reason why Donald Trump lost, is because the RNC allowed the Democrats in Pennsylvania and stuff to change to unconstitutionally, according to Pennsylvania's constitution, change the way that electors are sent and stuff. It's an absolute failure on Rana's part, and I don't know why Trump endorsed her. So frustrating.
What article makes gerrymandering unconstitutional? Is that in?
They said, from the article I read, they just said that the maps are gerrymandered towards the conservative side, and that I don't know.
There we go.
exactly.
Poof.
So, yeah, I'm just scared that because right now our governor is Tony Evers. Like my dad likes to say, I don't like Evers. And then our Congress is mostly conservative. So it's just like Evers does something, we say the Congress says no. Congress does something, Evers says no. There's nothing going on in our state right now. It's a constant, just stalemate. Nothing's happening. But they start to sway their way. It's going to affect us because we're purple. I mean, we have good, strong gun laws, but they're not getting stronger, and they could definitely go in every aspect.
We're gonna win those fights at the Supreme Court for a long time. I mean, the current makeup of the Supreme Court is pretty good for a while.
And then another thing I'm worried about, our state's kind of being invaded by your old state, Tim. We
Yeah.
call them fibs. I'm sure you know what that term means.
What is it?
Effing Illinois bastards.
Oh, okay, there you go. I don't know that because I was from Illinois. We didn't call ourselves that.
Fuck!
Yeah. Well, especially in Madison, Milwaukee, a lot of people from Illinois are moving to Wisconsin because like, apparently our welfare benefits are better.
Well, also because Illinois is just like a failed state. So.
Yeah. But it's like they're bringing their policies with them.
Well, so
you should build a wall.
So we're planning. Highly likely we'll do another.
Bro, this is so fucked.
RNC for that full week. So we'll probably have like a series of shows at some rented location, and then maybe like a bigger show with an audience for Thursday with the final day of the RNC. And we're definitely not going to the DNC because it's in Chicago. And I feel like someone's gonna get shot.
Yep.
I don't even. I'm kind of like. I'm not trying to be cute, man. I think there's a high likelihood of like there's gonna be riots. There's gonna be serious injury. Cops are look at the no NATO protests. Luke and I were there. The cops arrested a group of leftist activists and detained them for like 10 days in what's called a black site. It's basically a police-controlled facility no one knows about, where these people were detained without word. No one knew where they went.
And disappeared.
They were disappeared.
In Chicago, I literally had a cop like put a gun to my head when we were pulled over.
They tried planting drugs on us.
Yeah.
This is not an
That's
exaggeration.
not a joke. That's literally what happened.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a crazy story, and this really happened. Chicago is the whole place is so dirty. The state itself is so dirty, and the idea that there's going to be a DNC,
He's gonna kill me.
At I think it was 2016. The RNC and the DNC were so fun back during the cycles. Jimmy Dore spit on Alex Jones. How fun was that?
We were there in that room, and
we were
as it
standing
happened,
right
we were
next
like,
to it.
holy crap!
And that was at the RNC, but nobody protested the RNC. Nobody cared. The DNC, there were thousands of protesters trying to storm the barricades and break their way in. DNC and
Fucking A, bro.
Bonkers. Corrupt
That guy really just fucked my game.
cops, corrupt government, all Democrat-controlled, gun violence. I'm not going anywhere near that place.
Naming your questions.
My name is Cameron. Before I ask my question, I'd just like to say, as a fine Irishman, I don't see how people could accuse you of stealing spoons, Seamus.
Thank you. I appreciate that because I wouldn't do that, and you know me.
Do you
know I
steal
won't ever do
spoons
that
too? Is the question.
I would never do that. Thank you, brother.
I would never steal a spoon. That's what
I like Seamus. Have you ever seen any videos by Freedom Tunes?
On top of being thieves, they're also liars.
Can you believe it?
There's a little bit of a bias on this panel.
Why do we put up with this?
I don't know. First the paddy wagons, now this.
It's sickening.
That is funny. They still call them that, paddy wagons.
I don't think it's funny at all.
I think
that's fun.
Stop drinking so much.
He does think it's funny. He's laughing.
No. No, I'm serious.
So with having friends that are on the left and that are pretty much in the leftist cult, how do you start them out and trying to move them over at all when you have articles like the secret history of how they fortified the election and people that, like Phil said, think that that's a good thing?
It's super easy. What you do is get a bunch of them, call a bunch of your lefty friends, you get like 10 or whatever, I don't know, and tell them
Set up
it's a great
like
idea for,
shit again.
It's a cool event they should come to. Then you tell all your MAGA friends, and you trick them all into going to the community center where you lock the doors and make them stay there overnight so they become friends.
Yeah.
That's all you do. Or you can...
We'll see. We'll see what
It's like the simple answer is kind of boring. Ask them questions, the Socratic method. If you argue with them and tell them that they're wrong or insult them, they'll get angrier. So if you have friends who are on the left, you can be like, whenever they say something, just pull up on your phone a source from this is why I always like using CNN and NPR and their sources. I like
There we
using
go.
corporate press sources to debunk what they're saying. And I often tell people, too, they're like, the media never reported this thing. I'm like, dude, I pulled it up on the New York Times. They reported on it. It's just the Democrat establishment forces will ignore stories from the corporate press. So if someone claims Joe Biden never did insert thing, I'm going to make sure the report comes from CNN because then they can't deny it. So it's things like that. Other than that, it's tough. The reality is,
I do not like how I am set up.
Understand, you need to surround them with people who will influence them.
You can, if you reorient people towards kind of what Occupy Wall Street was about, which is international.
Okay,
banking.
so he's
Like,
going
that
into.
Really is the biggest threat to our way of life is corporate totalitarianism, technocracy. So there is something that all Americans can focus on, at least most Americans can focus on, that we can agree with. That like having corporations run our lives is not ideal.
And you have to be gentle with how you do it because these people, since at least 2012, 2013 with the NDAA, they haven't been told they were wrong in a very long time. They've had their confirmation bias inflated for 12 straight years.
She's right. You have to let them come to it. So like present them with the idea and then allow them to
Present them with the evidence.
change their mind. Don't try to
Okay.
change anyone's mind. You'll never ever do it. Present them with stuff that conflicts with their preconceived notion and just let it go. Just let them, and like, you know, don't constantly do it, but every once in a while be like, oh, you see this or something like that, and let them change at their own pace. If they feel like you're trying to convince them of anything, the walls go up, the heels get dug in the dirt, just let them change. There's a dude that I'm very, very close with that is very anti-Trump and very, very blue-pilled. After Joe Biden was elected and after he saw the results, his tone about politics is 100% different than it was right before Joe Biden was elected, and it is much easier to talk to him. But you can't. You never try and shove anything down anyone's throat. Never try and make anyone see things a different way. Always just give them the option.
Real quick, just with the data coming out of the New York Times, a lot more of the voters come in. There still is a slim possibility, based on their estimates, that Nikki Haley beats Ron DeSantis. They're projecting Haley between 17 and 21% to DeSantis' 19 to 23. I don't think it's likely. And Vivek is still sitting around 8. They expect him to hit around 7 to 9. Interestingly, Nikki Haley did end up losing Johnson County, which was supposedly this very liberal area. Trump won. Nikki Haley currently has Story County, and I would also say it's kind of sad. We actually saw Vivek doing rather well, but I'm not sure Vivek actually has any counties in third place.
I see him with one bound delegate,
which is good. But I think, okay, here we go. He's in third place in Appanoose County so far, and the neighboring Wayne County. So he does have some where he's in third place.
You scrolled over Polk County earlier.
Where's that at?
It's below Des Moines. Somewhere below there. Congressman Massey had tweeted that, or shouted out that DeSantis won it, but when you pulled it up, it was.
You sure it's below?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay, this is the point, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Trump.
Yeah, it was for Trump. Thomas Massey said that it was for DeSantis.
What?
Yeah, I guess he got early results, and it wasn't though.
Massey, what a silly thing to tweet.
I know.
Yeah.
Tisk, tisk.
We still love you. It's okay.
Your question, man?
My name is Julie. I'm visiting here from Nebraska.
Easier to talk to him, but you can't. You never try and shove anything down anyone's throat. Never try and make anyone see things a different way. Always just give them the option.
Real quick, just with the data coming out of the New York Times, a lot more of the voters come in. There still is a slim possibility.
Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley beats Ron DeSantis. They're projecting Haley between 17 and 21% to DeSantis' 19 to 23. I don't think it's likely. And
yeah, Donald Trump is just.
Around, 8. They expect him to hit around 7 to 9. Interestingly, Nikki Haley did end up losing Johnson County, which was supposedly this very liberal area. Trump won. Nikki Haley currently has Story County, and I would also say it's kind of sad. We actually saw Vivek doing rather well, but I'm not sure Vivek actually has any counties in third place.
I see him with one bound delegate,
which is good. But I think, okay, here we go. He's in third place in Appanoose County so far.
Okay,
And,
this is
neighboring Wayne
true.
County. So he does have some where he's in third
We
place.
want to roll.
You scrolled over Polk County earlier.
Where's that at?
It's below Des Moines. Somewhere below there. Congressman Massey had tweeted that, or shouted out that.
Fuck.
DeSantis DeSantis won it, but when you pulled it up, it was.
You sure it's below?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay, it is the point, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Trump.
Yeah, it was for Trump. Thomas
DeSantis.
Massey said that it was for DeSantis.
What?
Pretty likely forecast for the race for second place. Unlikely. They think Nikki Haley is unlikely.
We still love you.
I was thinking that. Oh, I guess that he's at 21% now.
Nebraska, and I just needed to represent the ladies. I don't know if you guys noticed that there's about a 6 or 7 to 1 ratio out here of guys.
I have not noticed this at all.
I bring that up all the time, don't I? No, I point that out in the show several times. Like, you go to any like event, sporting event or whatever, it's always like 8 to 2, 4 to 1.
Yeah. I'm in a metal band.
Let's go look at. Is he gonna move into No, I'm not fucking attacking purple. Why would I attack? I can't. Oh, go boom. I thought they wanted me to go, you just fucking suicide into purple. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Election ever again for the rest of your life.
Yes. Yes.
Because the Iowa Republican Party is mostly establishment. It is. And when John McCain was our nominee, when Mitt Romney was our nominee, we lost to Barack Obama.
That's right.
And it wasn't close. It wasn't a squeaker.
So Jack, I want you to riff on this. This is fine. Is how Trump remade Iowa. Trump reshaped it. He campaigned hard and heavy. He did, and by the way, there are 3 counties now that Nimrata is winning, just to be fair. Donald Trump is winning 95 out of 99 counties, okay? But he remade Iowa, Jack. All the consultants, the chattering class said, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to, he did it his own way. He did it his way, and a 30-point victory, Jack. Your thoughts?
Well, I'd just like to say to Ron DeSantis, man, 99 counties, not a lead in one. Look, this is a situation where...
That's just glazing, though. I mean, Trump is the incumbent. So to say Trump won without really trying, I mean, he did do events in Iowa, and he is the incumbent. So, you know, admittedly, I'm not gonna lie, it isn't a crazy strong performance. Like, he won the majority. He won 50%. I mean, it's good, but
yeah,
it really isn't great. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, analyzing it from the angle of, or from the Trump perspective, he's the incumbent. He was the most popular Republican president in history. He was more popular than Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
And for him to go into Iowa and win 50, I mean, to say, well, but he didn't get the endorsement from Kim Reynolds. It's like, so, you know, he won by 30 without really trying. It's like, yeah, but shouldn't that kind of be a given? He had a 90% approval rating when he was the president. He had a 90% approval rating as president. And he is an incumbent. And he got 50. I mean, what if DeSantis wasn't in the race? I mean, would Nikki Haley get 40? I mean, would anybody be saying like, wow, he won by 10? And you know, maybe that's not realistic. if I don't know if I mean, look, it's a good night. It's a good
It's a good.
result. But let's not get carried away. I don't think this is anything to write home about for Trump. If Trump got 60% in Iowa, I would say that would be exceptional. That would be a crushing victory, which would really silence any doubt. But
Only 50.
and DeSantis combined had 40%. That means 47% of the Republican electorate voted for someone other than Trump. It's not. That's
100. What is this right here? Where it's 100% Nikki Haley.
Because DeSantis
100%.
probably won't hang. And I wonder what it's going to look like then. I mean, presumably in other states, it's not going to be as competitive as Iowa for all the aforementioned reasons. But still.
What is up with these places? 100.
Philadelphia Eagles are
Yes, so that,
25
Jack, I got to put you on the spot. I got to put you on the spot. Greater collapse. Philadelphia Eagles or Ron DeSantis?
I mean, honestly,
Very
it's
similar.
the Eagles, right? It's actually the Eagles because the Eagles had a shot at one point, right? So the Eagles, again, we're 10-2. 10-2. It was the brotherly shove, the tush push, and yeah, it's done. We're totally done. And so there's actually a super chat or Rumble rant, what we call them on this platform, that came in a little while ago. And
It's a great
and here's what we're
day
going
to be alive.
Whatever you say, whatever you pay for, we are
This
gonna
is
do
not
when it comes to
good.
hats.
No,
We
it's
had one earlier that was $5.
not.
Another big update.
I
85% in.
don't
Trump
have a
is
trade yet,
DeSantis
and that
is
makes
one.
me so that I'm a big.
So it looks like that's going to be our race. It looks like nothing from Jefferson.
There we go.
Nothing from Franklin. Haley has a lead in Davis and in Webster. Oh, nope. And they updated it again. So Trump won literally every he won literally every county. And there's no votes yet in 2 of them, but he's won every county so far. 51, 21, 19, and just shy of 8 for Vivek. So Vivek did not outperform the polling at all.
No.
That looks like it's exactly the Real Clear Politics average for Iowa. Yeah, so the polling looks like it was more or less correct. Trump 52, Haley 18, DeSantis. I mean, so they actually, DeSantis overperformed the polling by about 5 or 6. And yeah, that's about it. I mean, everybody basically, it tracked with the polling, and Vivek as well.
In your local community to win for years outside of this one Trump moment that you.
I hate when people say local community because isn't it implied that a community is
It's local.
That's something that I also just hate the word local in general. Local to me just sounds like one of those.
Does he try to kill me?
Sort of like organic. When people say local, to me that's almost like a meaningless word, like organic or.
Okay. What's my trade? Fuck, bro.
Local community. What other community is there? How about just your community? Do you have a non-local? When I talk about my community, am I talking about a place 50 miles away from me? That's just a little nitpick. And that's a little turning point nitpick. Just a little one. I'm not gonna hold a grudge over that, but just a little nitpick. I always hate when people say that. You're local. Don't get your especially when the diet people say it. All the diet people always say, you need to eat local meat. You need to eat organic, locally sourced, raw milk. That is one thing I will never accept, is these hippies on the right that are all they do is talk about food all day. Like, sorry, but you're just kind of a boring person. If all you have to talk about is like cooking and diet, you're kind of a boring person.
I think that that what you cook and what you eat definitely is important, though.
You're a completely uninteresting person. No offense if anyone is like that in the chat.
That's not all I talk about, but.
Like a farmer or something, or you're like a dietitian, but all these amateur people online that are going on and on about, today I had an organic blah, 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 fucking berries from my garden, and a little bit of this that I got from the thing, and local farmer, you gotta get a local. Ask your local farmer's market if the honey's local. 3 quarter-pounders with cheese, please, and supersize that an extra large chocolate milkshake and a Diet Coke, and 5 cookies, please. Niggas be like, oh, you're gonna want it. It's like, I don't want your diet advice. Everybody now has this diet. Everybody's on some.
I think you should be eating healthy, for sure. I don't like this take.
You've never met someone like me before. Did you know that I'm on a carnivore diet? Did you know I drink raw milk? Oh my, get out. You're so interesting. Tell me more. Why raw? Why raw milk? Tell me about the benefits. This is so interesting. I've never heard anyone say this before.
I get what he's saying by that, but you definitely should be fucking healthy.
Farmer's market? Wow. That's so interesting. You must be really intelligent. You must be an extremely profound thinker. And you're not like anyone else. I'm a hater, but I'm a hater. You know, but
Oh!
when it comes to these things, so. You can't take it too personally because I'm just a hater. I love when they get mad. I just
The
live.
terrible dice. Holy shit.
Is gonna be fat. And this one says, let me see. Nick, you are going to live a short life with that unhealthy diet. Good. Good. I like to eat pizza. I like to eat McDonald's. Blow it out your ass. You're gonna live 2 years longer drinking raw milk. Let's see. Every county for Trump. We're still only at 86%. Looks like they're gonna trickle in next couple hours probably. Analysis from our report. There are still votes left to be counted, but our estimates give DeSantis a greater than 95% chance of taking second. So it looks like that's our race. Trump 1, DeSantis 2, Nikki Haley 3.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. Hit the gym, you low-test little twat.
Ha!
No. What are you going to do about it? Everybody loves to get tough when it comes to the gym. Shut up. You know, you can go do your jumping jacks. You can go do your jumping jacks. You can go crawl on the floor like an animal, putting your palms of your hands on the dirty floor. I'm good. Me? I'm good. I think exercise is bad for you. I subscribe to the Ray Pete school of thought that you should exercise once every 10 years.
The fuck is Ray Pete?
But I'm very against exercise. I think it's
Ray Pete.
And I think that
Here's the definition of repeat.
No, not.
Say again something one has already said.
fruit. I'm against meat, actually. I think you should eat less meat. I think
Pugs.
you should moderate your meat intake.
I think you should eat a lot of meat.
Exercise is bad for you. So I think
That's some cringe takes.
you're kind of a beta male if you work out. I think you're actually like a soy boy if you work out and eat meat. I think the real manly thing to do is to eat plenty of fruit and refined sugars and coffee and orange juice and vanilla ice cream and not to work out basically at all. And I think that's I think that's actually the real health mindset. You can save all your red meat. I think that's a carcinogen. And
Bro, the Bible literally says to not eat. He's definitely trolling right now.
honey. I don't need to sweeten my stuff with honey. I just put a ton of sugar in everything.
He's trolling right now, for sure.
Try honey. It's a natural sweetener. Really? I just put tons of sugar in everything. Actually, way better for you. Tastes good and good for you.
Yeah, he's trolling.
But that's just me. But that's just me. That's just my mindset.
Yeah, he's trolling for
He's
sure.
going to win the nomination. The news media doesn't want to say that because they need to somehow hype. Please watch us while we go through this charade. There is no candidacy for.
Because it's all about your thyroid function. Your thyroid and your liver need sugar. Your liver needs sugar. Your brain needs sugar. Your thyroid needs sugar. We need sugars. You don't need a lot of meat. I am unironically against the carnivore thing. I think that the carnivore thing is a meme. I think that people are eating way too much meat.
No.
I don't think that people should eat meat every day. I think that people should eat.
Bro, why did Red do that? What the fuck, Red? Oh, Red's dead.
You know what's funny? I actually got that take from a German Nazi. I was hanging out with this German guy I know. He's actually from Germany, and he said that his grandfather was in the Holocaust on the evil side, and he said no, but this I'm not even kidding at all. I met there's this guy from Germany, and he said his grandfather was in World War II.
On the evil side? What do you mean? He was a Jew?
He was telling me, he was like,
I'm just kidding.
Too much meat. Meat gives you cancer. He was very anti-meat. He said that you should only eat meat 3 times a week. He's like, you're going to get cancer.
Cringe, bro.
It's bad for your colon. It's bad for your...
Like I'm gonna listen to a fucking German.
I believe them. It's like, I'm not more based than this guy. This guy was arguing that the Holocaust did happen because he said that his grandfather had one of the lampshades. I don't know if that sounds like bullshit to me. It sounds like he was making that up. But I'm like, I'm not going to be more based than this guy. And he's telling me meat is carcinogenic. I'm like, I believe it. I believe it. So... Then again, I eat meat every day, so I don't really know what to believe. But I'm not going to do all that. I'm not going to do these people. All they've taught, they just yap all day. They just yap all day about, food and what they eat. It's like, don't you have anything interesting to say? You're going to tell me about all this food you're eating? You're just guzzling organic matter. You're shoving your face with organic matter and you can't stop talking about it. Just eat your fucking steak and shut up. Drink your raw milk and your local organic honey and shut the fuck up. We're tired of hearing about it. That's just me. You
Does he break me?
Nature, don't take your phone. We don't need to hear about it. You want to go on a hike and cook your steak aesthetic in the woods. Next time, don't bring your phone. Nobody cares. Don't take pictures. So, that's how I feel about it. But I've been eating healthy lately. I've been on a meal kit, like a meal prep service, and it's all healthy stuff. I think though that
he's definitely triggered. He's definitely trolling about this.
What I do, I barely eat, and I'm skinny, and I feel good, and I think that fasting and just generally not having a huge caloric intake is better for you. I don't think we're meant to be gorging on food.
Oh yeah.
Of any kind. I think that basically you're supposed to treat your body as the vehicle that it is, and. I'm a big believer that anything that is really outside of your normal activity.
I accidentally am locking my.
Like these people that do deadlifting. I don't think deadlifting is good for you. I don't think deadlifting 500 pounds is good for anybody. Okay, looks like
Trump the
is
stage. Email us freedom@charliekirk.com.
Here we
Steve Bannon will
go.
join us right after Trump's speech.
The
So let's
man.
cut to Donald Trump. Enjoy that. We'll be back right afterwards.
Yeah, so eating and exercise not good for you.
Yeah, it is.
Here we go. There he is. Okay, what's this quality?
Oh man.
3 hours.
We'll go
Barber.
long enough to Kafka Vivek while
Next president.
I'm actually really.
Tim Shi. Now records show he invested in a Chinese company caught stealing personal information from a...
Let's see this. Restart.
Worried about AI taking your job? You should be worried about
percent. The president has broken.
Okay, there we go.
Threshold. If he stays
Let's
here,
watch
it's going to
this.
be historic. It's going to be a landslide. You can see some of the supporters coming there behind him, including some guests of this fine broadcast that were just on talking to us earlier. But we see South Dakota's governor as there as well, and others who helped him win in Iowa, of course. The former First Family as well, Trump Jr., we see him there, and some other former Trump advisors who have stayed by him, by and large, since he was in the White House, and even before then when he was a real estate mogul in the state of New York. And a reminder, a place where he no longer lives anymore, moving to Florida because of all the legal trouble that he's had in this state, still facing several lawsuits, more than 90 criminal allegations, indictment after indictment. He's going to have to get through a lot of potentially tricky legal issues before he can be the nominee if he continues this victory march. And it's still unclear, right? You talk to legal scholars, they don't know if those cases will actually go to trial while he is running for president. We're going to have to wait and see. There's a lot of unknowns here. As we wait for him to take the stage, he's sort of soaking it all in and really enjoying this moment. As we look at the map in Iowa, he's essentially won every county. Is that right, Chuck Todd's telling me?
This is a big one. This is the home of Ames. This was Nikki Haley's only county. We've now more precincts caught it. He took the lead there. He's winning in Iowa
counties,
City.
Trump
He's
looks like
winning
to
in
lead and or win every single one of them.
He may win
Former
every
president's about to speak. Let's listen in.
Trump, 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 Trump.
Well, I want to thank everybody. This has been some period of time, and most importantly, we want to thank the great people of Iowa. Thank you.
Of Iowa.
What a turnout, what a crowd. And I really think this is time now for everybody, our country, to come together. We want to come together, whether it's Republican or Democrat or liberal or conservative. It would be so nice if we could come together and straighten out the world and straighten out the problems and straighten out all of the death and destruction that we're witnessing. That's practically never been like this. It's just so important, and I want to make that a very big part of our message. We're going to come together. It's going to happen soon, too. It's going to happen soon. I want to thank some of the...
I don't like the true random. It fuck.
Senators. If I go through every name, we'll be here all night, and everybody's going to get angry at me. But the senators, the congressmen from Washington, they came down from all different states. I want to thank you very much. I want to congratulate Ron and Nikki for having a good time together. We're all having a good time together.
We're all having a good time together.
I think they both actually did very well. I really do. I think they both did very well. We don't even know what the outcome of second place is. And I see Carrie Lake. Congratulations, Carrie.
Ha!
I spotted her, I have to announce, because she's terrific.
She is. I do like
Carrie
Carrie Lake.
Great senator. And I also want to congratulate Vivek, because he did a hell of a job. He came from 0, and he's got a big percent, probably 8%, almost 8%, and that's an amazing job. They all did. They're all very smart people, very capable people. I think most importantly, I want to thank my incredible wife, First Lady, I'll say former and maybe future. But
He seems very humble right now.
I want to thank her incredible, beautiful mother who passed away a few days ago. And she's up there, way up there. She's looking down, and she's so proud of us. And I just want to say to Amalia, you are special, one of the most special people I've ever known. And that was a tough period of time for the family, but she's amazing. She was amazing. So I just want to thank what she's done for our family and her husband, who's home right now and very lonely. He's a lonely man, but he's going to be okay. Victor, they're great people, great parents to all of us, really. Great parents, but also to Barron. Boy, did she take care of Barron. That's how he got so tall.
That's how he got so tall.
And I want to thank my family generally. They've worked so hard, and they've taken so much abuse for being good people. I mean, good people. But Eric and Don.
He must be new.
They really did. These two have been working so hard, and they have another job also, so they have to do it all. But they've been working so hard, and I know that Ivanka is home and Tiffany's home. They're watching, and I know that Barron's watching. Good old Barron. I said, "You're going to be a basketball player." I said, "Well, I like soccer, Dad. Actually," I said, "Your height, I like basketball better, but you can't."
Your height, I like basketball better.
But he's a special boy. But the whole family is just incredible, and my
he's doing very well right now.
Just the biggest fan. She's just an incredible person, and always supportive. We love Elizabeth so much. Also, we have a woman who took a big chance. You know, in most states we have support of everybody, the Congress, the senators. We had Marco Rubio. We had Rick Scott the other day. Probably 55% of the senators.
There we go.
Calling and saying, "We want to endorse you, sir." I said, "Oh, great."
Oh, great.
Same thing with the Congress, men and women. We have tremendous, much more than anybody probably has ever had in this position.
I'm lining up for whenever.
Great. They're really trying to do a good job.
Whenever this inevitably turns into something, I'm lining up so that I can boom, 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 swoop through, get all that, and then go for purple. You feel me?
Up for our country. But one woman in Iowa who really stepped up was your Attorney General, Brenna Bird. She really, really stepped up. Where is Brenna? Come here. She stepped up. She's going to be your governor someday, I predict. So we'll see. We'll be watching, but she really did. She broke away from the pack, and she had tremendous courage, and wasn't easy. In some states it's easy, in other states it's a little bit more difficult. But we have really the support of the people of Iowa.
All right, we've been listening to former President Trump. We're going to pause now for a brief moment, but folks, don't go anywhere. NBC News Now special coverage of the 2024 Iowa Republican caucuses continues straight ahead. Welcome back to NBC News special coverage of the 2024 Iowa Republican caucuses. I'm Tom Yamas in New York on a historic night, the first contest in the 2024 presidential race, and we have a projected winner. NBC News can project that former President Donald Trump has won the Iowa caucuses in a resounding fashion. He is set to smash the margin of victory for this contest on the Republican side.
Smash the record.
He is speaking right now. We want to take him live. Let's listen in.
Long before I knew I was going to run, I said, "Who's this man in Iowa? He's a senator, a state senator. He's a good-looking guy too, doesn't he look
good-looking guy too?"
A lot of money. And by the way, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for being here. You are so great. Comes all the way from Missouri, which isn't that far.
Missouri.
You can't drive an electric car that far, though. Thank you very much. I appreciate it very much. The group of people that we have on the stage is just emblematic of the tremendous group that we've had. We've had such a great team We did well. We were looking really good in 2016. And just to go back to the senator, he was saying, I said, who is that guy? Brad, his name. Who is he? He keeps endorsing me. He keeps saying Trump, and I didn't even know I was running. He endorsed me 4 months before I knew I was running, about 4 months before the Escalade ride down with our great first
For
lady.
the Escalade ride
And
down.
that was Brad. I said, who is he? So he was the first one. But we have people that are so incredible. Your Republican Party Chairman, Bobby Kaufman, and his son, who is a brilliant guy, and he worked with us. And I will tell you, that is a family of real professionals. Matt Whitaker, who is the very talented and very good Attorney General. Where is Matt? He's around here someplace, and he's been with us all the way. We have a man that was very impressive. And I say, there's nothing wrong with it. He's so solid and so good that he didn't catch on. Sometimes being a little controversial is good. He's so perfect. Although he did break his leg during the campaign. That wasn't so good. But it sort of stood out a little bit, Doug. But Doug Burgum from North Dakota, the governor, and his beautiful wife, Catherine, and he got out of the race. What people don't know is that he actually supported me on the other side twice already, right? Then he decided to do it, and he was outstanding. But the traction is never easy, right? You need controversy for traction sometimes, and this guy is the most solid guy. There's no controversy whatsoever, and he's one of the best governors in our country, and I hope that I'm going to be able to call on him to be a piece of the administration, a very important piece of the administration. And also, just to conclude with this, the entire Trump team, and that includes my two boys who are really here all the time, whenever we needed them. Whenever we needed them. They are great, Eric and Don. And look at all these people. Oh, Susie, I have to say. And Chris. And they want no accolades. They just want a victory, and they want to make America great again. That's all they want, actually. They don't want to be speaking. They don't want to have pictures. They just want to do their job, right? I want to thank you very much, Jason, everybody. You're really fantastic. What a job you've done. Thank you. So we're going to come together. We're going to drill, baby, drill right away.
Drill, baby, drill.
Baby, drill. We're going to seal up the border. Because right now we have an invasion. We have an invasion of millions and millions of people that are coming into our country. I can't imagine why they think that's a good thing. It's a very bad thing. I think it's a group of people that are probably larger in number than New York State. And we can't have that. We can't have that. It's not sustainable as a country. It's horrible. And they're coming from prisons and jails. They're coming from all over. They're coming from countries that most people have never heard of. And they're coming from mental institutions and insane asylums. They're being emptied out into our country. And they're terrorists. Many terrorists are coming in. In 2019, I saw just recently on a poll, they had none in 2019, no terrorists. Now, I even say there's got to be some, but they have none. And then as soon as this group took over, they have hundreds and hundreds of terrorists coming in, known terrorists, some of them really bad. And many of them are in, and they came in, and nobody knows where they are. This is not a good thing. And we're going to have to deport. We're going to have a deportation level that we haven't seen in this country for a long time, since Dwight Eisenhower, actually.
Since Dwight Eisenhower.
So I don't want to be overly rough on the president, but I have to say that he is the worst president that we've had in the history of our country. He's destroying the country. And, my wife attended the funeral 2 months ago of Rosalind Carter, and it was beautiful. And Jimmy Carter was there, and I thought to myself, Jimmy Carter is happy now, because he will go down as being a brilliant president by comparison to Joe Biden. Brilliant president. He's going to be known as brilliant by comparison.
Brilliant by comparison.
We have to bring down our energy. We have to slow
Oh,
down.
that was
I
funny.
see all the time we have more liquid gold under our feet than any other nation anywhere in the world. And we have to stop the crime, and we have to help rebuild our cities, and we have to rebuild the capital, Washington, D.C. I was there on one of the Biden indictment trials. You know, this is the only person this never happened before, but I go to a lot of courthouses because of Biden, because they're using that for election interference. And it's on things like...
We've been listening to former President Trump at his victory party in Des Moines, Iowa.
Hey, why are you cutting him off?
And he started his remarks.
Let him talk.
Soaking the moment in and looking out upon the audience. Really went from MAGA to magnanimous, thanking the other candidates, making a joke about Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley fighting for second. Even thanking Vivek as well. But then he launched into his campaign mode, into his campaign speech, making some disparaging remarks and generalizations about undocumented immigrants coming into this country, but attacking the Biden administration over their immigration policies, over their oil policies. I want to go to Chuck Todd first, who was listening on this speech as we were both listening as well. And you know, he started to be thankful and grateful. He almost sounded like he was already the nominee.
Maybe why?
That's the most important thing. Was the first sentence. He goes, "It's time for us to come together." Right? Like, that's what he said. He clearly views this. And look,
for Isaac.
This is a map. We have one county that still hasn't reported anything in. But if this is a sea of Trump here, and he's over 50, he has a rationale to at least make that case that, hey, I mean, you're looking, DeSantis and Haley together are still 10 points behind Trump. So that's, you know, you could have the fantasy ticket that some people I've talked to have.
Okay, sounds
hey,
good.
The two should run together. Well, you know, even combined here, they're still 10 points short. So it is, I am very curious to see how DeSantis and Haley, and by the way, you want to talk about timing here. Neither one of them, it's such a close race for second. Neither one of them can get out there and claim it first. Now that Trump has spoken, still speaking, they're not going to get this moment. And, you know, Hogan will know this well. This stuff matters to raise money. This stuff matters. These primary nights, you want to create a sense of momentum. And neither Haley or DeSantis are going to get any momentum out of tonight now. There's just, in some ways, maybe it'll be 1 or 2 in the morning. We find out who's second. But at that point,
okay, sounds good, baby.
30 points behind.
Hogan, you worked with former President Trump when he was in the White House. You know him. You know his moods. You know his tones. Talk to me about what you found and picked up in his speech tonight.
First of all, MAGA to magnanimous. That's why you're in the chair you're in, Tom Yelmus. That was
he was there.
To
campaign mode.
Very good. Look, starts off by thanking a lot of people on his team, thanking the other candidates. You remember when Christie got out of the race, he also said something along the lines of,
especially since it's
Christie
state.
maybe I'm gonna start liking him again. Joking with the crowd. You know, he's an entertainer at heart. He wants you to be comfortable. He connects with people on a level that I don't think the other candidates were able to do.
Okay.
It's obvious. We talked about this hours ago when we started this coverage. I said, I think what's going to happen is he's going to tell everyone, all right, it's time to man up. Let's all get together and coalesce behind my campaign. He had some mention of that there, and now he's going to talk about the policies because in his mind, he is thinking it's time to talk about the general. Weeks ago, he switched his pronouns to saying us. We did this together. We can fight together. And focusing more on Joe Biden. Of course, he's still going to say things about Vivek. Of course, he's going to say things about Nikki and Ron. But he's focusing more on the general election. He's trying to portray, I've got this thing wrapped up right now. And with the numbers and the data that Chuck has outlined this evening, he has a case to make to say, look, this is pretty obvious I'm running the show.
Less than 2% of the delegates, though, have been decided so far with just Iowa, right? It's a small state, but the importance we can't talk about enough. Matt, if you were whispering into Governor Ron DeSantis' ear tonight, what are you telling him? Do you telling him stay in, let's do this, or do you think it's over?
I would say no matter if it's DeSantis or...
Let's see what this is.
Individual I've ever met. I mean, I worked for Richard Nixon. He was a very tough guy. I worked for Senator Bob Dole. He was also a very tough guy. Dole
Roger Stone.
War veteran.
There's a documentary on Netflix called... I forget what it's called. It's something called Roger Stone. Roger Stone documentary on Netflix. Get me Roger Stone. And it kind of, like, they try to make him look like a bad guy in it, but honestly, it made me like him even. It made me like him. I thought it was fucking, just seemed cool as fuck in it. He's got the Nixon tattoo on the back. But let's go back to that.
Hit with 18 bullets by a German machine gun in World War II. Told he would never walk again, never have the use of his hands or his arms again. Who basically clawed his way back to good health to serve his country in the U.S. Senate and was our nominee for president. He would have been a great president. But neither one of those guys were as tough as Donald Trump. He's tough as nails. And for a guy under this level of pressure, I was just with him. I must tell you, he's amazingly calm, collected, confident, upbeat, kind of funny.
Funny?
He's
yeah.
Very resolute, very determined to win this election. And he's going through this because he loves the country. He could walk away from all of it. If he walked away tomorrow, they'd drop all these cases against him. If he walked away tomorrow, they wouldn't be trying to lock him up for 600 years. They're trying to destroy him because he stands in the way of their power grab. They seek to illicitly change the Constitution to grab power. They're not even hiding it. They can't help themselves. Big piece in NBC this week about their non-secret plan to change the Constitution to remove civilian control of the army so that Trump will not be able to quell riots
The
that
Federal
they
Reserve.
they already have planned. So we're in for some very difficult times. I personally am a Christian. I make no bones about it. I pray for his safety first and foremost, and I pray for the future of the nation.
Me too. We do have a super chat here, Roger. Roger Stone, Republican political strategist, New York Times bestseller. He is, of course, going to be celebrating tonight further after this, so we want to make sure we can let him go. We have a couple questions from the audience here. We have a super chat that had just come in asking you, do you think with Haley, Vivek, and Trump and DeSantis, are they all competing to be the biggest Zionist puppet? And if elected, will Trump successfully be able to fight the Zionist regime and keep peace like he did in his first term?
Look, I think that that what you have now is insanity.
Is Roger
The
Stone an
Biden administration
anti-Zionist?
is shipping $100 billion that we've unfrozen to Iran as if we don't know that they're going to use that to finance Islamic terrorists, Hezbollah and Hamas. At the same time, we're spending billions more on Israel. Now, I'm pro-Israel, generally speaking. But
yeah, I was about to say, I was like, I'm pretty sure that he would be pro-Israel.
$50 a year now. What more could they possibly need from us?
That's why I was a little
in
confused.
this country, we have homeless veterans in this country. We have a fentanyl crisis in this country. So we do need to put America first. Nikki Haley is Dick Cheney in high heels. She's looking for the next nuclear war to get us into. No, I think Donald Trump is his own man. And I think that the truth is world leaders don't quite know what to make of him. He's completely unpredictable. The Russians would never have moved on Ukraine if Trump were president. You know why? He's been very open. He told Vladimir Putin, you move on Ukraine, I move on you. And Putin said, you won't do that. And Trump said, really? You're going to be in bed with your Russian whores. You're going to look up and the bomb's going to be coming right through the ceiling. I'm telling you, I will hit you with everything I've got. He told Xi the same thing. Don't even think about moving on Ukraine because I will move on Peking. And Xi said, you won't do that. And Trump said, don't try me. Now, that kind of unpredictability where both world leaders thought maybe there was a 10% chance that Trump would really do that, it kept them off balance, and we had no new foreign wars and no new foreign entanglements under the Trump presidency. Next question.
Yeah, all right. We have another question here for you as well saying, do you honestly believe that Trump has a shot at winning, or do you think that the people in power will literally do anything?
I think both those things. I think they will do anything, but I think that Trump is all
Neither
the
one of them
general
answered.
Conventional rules are off for him. He's extraordinarily lucky. He's extraordinarily skillful, and I do think he has a shot to pull this off. There are many obstacles. I'm not being a Pollyanna about it. I'm not being unrealistic, but they said he wouldn't pull off the major victory he's pulling off tonight. They said he wouldn't be nominated. He's going to be nominated. So
Yeah.
no, this is not easy, but he most definitely can
Ben Shapiro and them.
win. And I refuse to give up, frankly. I won't give up on him. I won't give up on the country. He is the guy who now has the experience and the understanding of what's going on to save the country. And I do think in the end, no matter what they pull, as long as you understand it going in, I think he was hobbled in his first year because not being from the world of politics, he thought, well, there's the Republicans and the Democrats. The Republicans are with me. The Democrats are against. No, half the Republicans were trying to fuck this guy from the minute he walked in the door. Why? Because they can't control him. Because he puts America first, not special interests first. So, yes, I really do believe he can win. In fact, I believe he's going to win. Yes, he's going to have to overcome extraordinary obstacles. Yes, the odds are very long. He's still going to win. I really believe it.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. Let me ask you two more questions here. I guess you kind of already answered this, but just somebody asked, particularly South Cal G from the Censor.tv chat, asked if you think Vivek is a snake oil salesman.
Sadly, I've reached that conclusion. Look, I liked the guy. I interviewed him for my radio show. He's clearly very, very smart and very, very talented. But this stunt he pulled at the closing days of Iowa, where it really was necessary for Trump to maximize his victory, really hurt him very badly. When you add that to his background, which he has a pretty glib way of explaining, but he made his money in pharmaceuticals. That's kind of disturbing. Now, I read some things today about who his partners were, how he made his money. I haven't had a chance to vet all of that. I don't know if what I read is bullshit or whether it's true. You read a lot of things online that are not true, but it doesn't really matter. He's not going to be the Republican nominee for president. And now, frankly, I don't know if there's a place for him in the future Trump administration. He might have made a great Secretary of Commerce, for example, or Secretary of the Treasury. I think that becomes less likely now.
All right, two more questions and we'll close off. Juneteen's asked you, do you have any insight to a Trump VP pick, and who would you recommend to be picked?
The president says he's made this decision. I don't know this, but I personally think that's showmanship. I don't know how you could decide this early when you don't know how the Republican contest finishes and you don't know who the Democrats ultimately going to be. And he doesn't have to legally make this decision until July. Let me say one thing very clearly. Let me tell you who it is not going to be. It is not going to be Nikki Birdbrain Haley. Doesn't matter how many times Ron DeSantis and his flying monkeys online say it is not. There's no compatibility there. And she looked Donald Trump in the eye and she lied to him. She said, you've been our greatest president. If you run, I won't run. Now she's running. If you don't have your word, what does that say about your character? And then their foreign policy views are so antithetically different. Trump is a non-interventionist who brought our troops back from the Middle East without having the country they were serving in collapse. Whereas Nikki Haley is looking for the next foreign war. So it will not be Nikki Haley. Who would I like? There's a couple candidates I like. I like Elise Stefanik, the Republican congresswoman from upstate New York. She's demonstrated that she is a fighter. I like Tulsi Gabbard. She is an Iraq war veteran. She's, I think, a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army Reserve. She is a championship surfer. She used to be a Democrat. She's now an independent. She's clearly had a political evolution. She could, I think, reach out to millennials and non-Republicans. I took some crap for that online today. I'm just, spitballing here. These are not Donald Trump's choices. These are my thoughts. These are not his thoughts. I don't know what he's thinking, to be honest with you. I've never had a conversation with him yet. At some point, I will. But at this juncture, what we don't need is somebody who brings us what we already have. Richard Nixon once told me, When looking for a vice president, don't look for somebody who can help you. Just try to pick somebody who doesn't hurt you. Do I like Ben Carson? Ben Carson's a very nice man. Oh, pardon me, I fell asleep. Look, you don't want to bore the voters. I think Ben Carson would be a safe choice, but he doesn't inspire anybody, and he reaches people that Donald Trump already has. So he would not be my choice. Nothing against him personally. He's a great Christian. He's a great gentleman, but he's not the right person. I don't know who the right person is. It's a little too early to say, but Trump will make his own decision on this, and he'll tell us when he's ready. And he's clearly not ready yet.
Awesome. Roger Stone, political strategist, New York Times bestseller. We're going to finish the rest of the show on rumble.com. If you can go look at my screen here, Brian, bring this up while we're about to sign out here on YouTube. Make sure that you go to rumble.com. I don't know why it's so small in this layout. Maybe I can just go here. Go to rumble.com/slightly offensive. You're going to find the stream here, calling out Trump traitors. That's our channel right there, Slightly Offensive, and get in the live chat. The rest of the show is going to be with Ben. We're going to be debriefing some of the stuff with Roger, looking at some insanity going on here. Roger Stone, if people can find you, follow you, and keep up with the news as you celebrate, well, the link to your X profiles in the description. Please let us know the best way people can keep up with you and track with you as we get into the insanity of the 2024 American election.
They can go to stonezone.com. Stonezone.com. I also do a daily show at rumble.com/RogerStone. You can also follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, where I am Roger J. Stone Jr. Now, there's a Roger Stone on Facebook. Folks, don't fall for that. That is not me. When that person or persons try to sell you crypto or offer you a job or ask for your banking information, block them immediately. It is not me. So stonezone.com. Check it out. Let's be very clear on my views. YouTube sucks. Rumble is the shit. We'll see you over there. Thanks.
Awesome. Real fast, I think Ben just wanted to say goodbye to you and give you a sign out here.
Yeah, and Roger, just quickly. So Donald Trump isn't just America's last best.
Take care of our little boys. They never imagined when they came to this country 40 years ago. And now we have lived an American dream that we want to pass on to these kids of their generation. And so the phase of our life where we were getting ahead for ourselves, making a good life for our family, this country's already given us that. This next chapter of our life and the next chapter of our journey and the next few years, and even the rest of this year, is about giving back to this country to create a country that we all do our part. And I've been asking that of you at every step.
I think we get the gist.
Governor Kim Reynolds, we're going to wait to see when Governor DeSantis takes the stage. We have another bit of campaign news. Vivek Ramaswamy, after dropping out, has immediately endorsed former President Trump. That's what I'm being told right now in that campaign speech as well. I want to get over to Ali Batali. She's with the Haley campaign right now. Ali, set us straight here. I mean, you know, what was the expectations game for the Haley campaign? Was it a solid second, or was it survive Iowa? Let's get right to New Hampshire.
They left it vague, I think, on purpose, Tom, in large part because they really said that they felt that second obviously would have been the preference, but that third would have just reinforced the status quo as to what people would have assumed already in a state like Iowa. The thing I imagine that we're going to hear from the Haley team in the coming 24 hours is that Ron DeSantis is someone who came in, through all of his resources at Iowa, had an immense ground game, got all the right endorsements, and still only notched 21 or 22 percentage points, and Donald Trump was able to get, at least as of right now, over that 50%.
Ali, sorry to interrupt you. We got to go over to Governor DeSantis, the projected second-place winner of the Iowa caucuses.
He looks
Let's listen
weird.
in.
Why does his mouth look weird?
They threw everything but the kitchen sink at us.
What's up, buddy? What's up, Wumbo? Just watching the Iowa caucuses. Donald Trump won by a landslide, but Ew, cringe, bro.
This is so cringe.
Love you too. They threw everything but the kitchen sink at us. They spent almost $50 million attacking us. No one's faced that much all the way just through Iowa. The media was against us. They were writing our obituary months ago. They even called the election before people even got a chance to vote.
Seriously?
But they were just so excited about the fact that they were predicting that we wouldn't be able to get our ticket punched here out of Iowa. But I can tell you, because of your support, in spite of all of that they threw at us.
Let's see. Was he second? Yeah.
We've got our ticket punched out of Iowa.
You got 4 delegates.
What does that even mean?
16. Yeah, what does that mean?
Ticket punch.
Going around Iowa is that this country has a basic decency. We've got hardworking people, God-fearing people, patriotic people. You just don't see it every day because of all the nonsense that gets spewed out there by the media, by social media, all this other stuff. People want to have hope for this country's future, and that's what we represent. We represent a chance to reverse the madness that we've seen in this country, to reverse the decline of this country, and to give this country a new birth of freedom and a restoration of sanity. That's what we are going to do.
We've just been listening to Governor Ron DeSantis speak in Iowa at his watch party there. NBC News projecting that he's taken second place in the Iowa caucuses. It was a tight race for second. We can also project and characterize the race as a landslide victory for Donald Trump with 91% of the vote in. Trump north
landslide. Heil Trump, dude.
Landslide. Fire of liberty. Don't run away from this responsibility. We welcome this responsibility.
280 viewers. Real campaign, by the way.
We thank you for your effort. We thank you for your support. You helped us get a ticket punched out of the Hawkeye state.
Stop
we have a lot of work to do, but I can tell you this, as the next president of the United States, I am going to get the job done for this country. I am not going to make any excuses, and I guarantee you this, I will not let you down. Thank you all. God bless you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
He's gonna be out.
The aesthetics are awful. Country song. Country song and the guy in a vest like that. No, bro. Alright, how about Haley now? Are we gonna get a Haley statement? We're gonna get another advertisement. He is so cringe. That whole honestly though, his fans are even cringier. At least Ron DeSantis is just like a big dork, but his people that act
I mean, the country music, I'm fine with. I like country.
like that. Unimaginable cringe.
Fire has grown leaps and
Never back down. A new birth of freedom, man. New birth of freedom.
A president must have more.
How about a new birth of Hitler? Not kidding. That's a cheap, stupid, low-hanging fruit joke. Low effort. Come on.
Guest from Dateline. All episodes available free.
What's this?
Kristen Welker.
Just give me Nikki Haley, bro.
Every Sunday on NBC.
So if that's
Welcome back. We are
that's
back
crazy.
now with that breaking news. Donald Trump is projected to win Iowa by a landslide. Governor
Dub.
Ron DeSantis now projected to come
Landslide,
in second.
landslide, landslide. Dude, bury that. Bury
And
that
we've just
dork.
been told he's going to appear at a Trump rally tomorrow in New Hampshire. Boy,
Let's go.
Nikki Haley right now poised to take third place. We're waiting
That's
for her to
sick.
speak at any moment. We just heard Governor Ron DeSantis. Joining me now on set is tonight's panel, Eliana Johnson. She's the editor-in-chief of the Washington Free Beacon. Matt Gorman is a former senior advisor to this Tim
Why is he
Scott
making that
campaign.
face?
Hogan
Looks like
Gidley
an alligator.
is the former White House deputy press secretary for the Trump administration.
Put your phone away. You're on TV,
Governor
dude.
DeSantis said he's got his ticket to ride to New Hampshire, second place.
Why did he keep saying, I know what punch a ticket means, but that's not how air travel works anymore. We spent $200 million to come in barely in second place. So now we get to punch our ticket to get out of here. Like, what? You fucking lost, objectively. I got 20%. Now punch my ticket. Like, what? You barely came in second. Bro said punch my ticket.
You barely came in second.
They just love coming up with corny garbage like that. All these campaigns are like that. When they say, and remember, it hurts a heck of a lot harder when you kick it in heels or whatever.
All right, let's redo this. See what Tim Cast is up to.
I'm treating this like a murder case. But some questions just don't have answers.
Almost 90% of the population is addicted to caffeine, and I wondered how many people were around me that maybe would benefit from.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our Iowa Caucus show. We are here in Des Moines, Iowa. It is, I think it's like, what, -15 out right now. We've got the Iowa Caucus results trackers pulled up, but we still have, I think, it could be an hour before we know exactly who wins and what's going on, but there's a lot of interesting data that's coming out. So we're going to talk about this. There is a lot of news that we'll probably get into
they already
a
finished.
lot of awesome guests.
Okay.
And in the news today...
Did they finish?
Of course, the Iowa caucus is taking center stage. Donald Trump is the huge favorite expected to win. But there is a shocking new poll showing that among first-time caucus goers, Vivek Ramaswamy actually is leading. Nikki Haley's in second.
Ooh. Let's see. Nikki Haley. Oh, so cringe, bro. Fuck Nikki Haley. We caught her just in time, though. Jesus Christ. Oh. Keep doing it then. I'm trying to think on what to do here. Should I break? What the fuck do you mean? You are the same. The fuck is going on here?
I've spoken a lot of hard truths to America, and here's another one. I voted for Donald Trump twice. I was proud to serve in his administration. But when I say more of the same, you know what I'm talking about.
You are the same, you dumb bitch. What the fuck? She literally is the same. She's just a warmonger.
It's both Donald Trump and Joe Biden. They have more in common than you think. 70% of Americans don't want another Trump-Biden rematch.
No, we just want Trump.
A majority disapprove of both of them. Trump and Biden are both about 80 years old.
Yeah, and you're a woman.
Both put our country trillions of dollars deeper in debt, and our kids will never
And you would get us into a fucking war. Who are these dumb cunts who are fucking clapping for her?
Both are consumed by the past, by investigations, by vendettas, by grievances. America deserves better.
That's not you.
Our campaign is the last best hope of stopping the Trump-Biden nightmare. But it's more than that. Republicans have lost the popular vote in 7 of the last 8 presidential elections. That's nothing to be proud of. We should want to earn the support of a majority of Americans. All the evidence says that if it's a Trump-Biden rematch, it's going to be another toss-up election.
Oh.
We could have more disputes over election interference, and Joe Biden could win again. With Kamala Harris waiting in the wings. Lord help us if that happens. And then
Oh shit. Oh man.
to head against Biden. We win in a landslide, it's not even close. That means no recounts, no lawsuits, and no doubts. It means no more Chuck Schumer leading the Senate. No more endless votes for House Speaker because we'll have a huge House majority.
Hopefully he runs out of time.
The do-nothing Washington politicians will rebuild our economy and secure our border. No more excuses. And make no mistake, we will restore our national pride. We are blessed to live in America, and it's time that we remember that. And as we head to New Hampshire,
I want to see what Nick Fuentes is saying about this right now. This shit is so cringe.
See what time it starts. Okay, get this out of my face right now. Can I just tell me the time?
Oh shit. What's he gonna do? What's he gonna do here? Is he gonna slam me? If he does, he loses.
Let me just look up like polls closed. So next Tuesday we're doing this.
Okay,
all
no,
over
he doesn't
again.
slam me.
I'm trying to figure out the time though. Well, you know what? Whatever. I'll figure it out. Yes. Or here it is. New Hampshire. I guess there is no set time when it closes. I'll post next week, but next week we'll be doing this all over again. We'll be watching the live results of the New Hampshire primary. That's next Tuesday night. I'll probably get started a little bit later next week because I imagine the polls are closing later. The results will take longer. So I'm not going to give you a time just yet, but early evening next Tuesday, we're doing it again, New Hampshire primary. Results from this one, though, it's actually good for Trump. One, he won in a landslide, which is important, even if perfunctory. And two, with DeSantis and Haley remaining in the race, they are, again, going to split the non-Trump vote. Like I've been saying, it all comes down to whether or not DeSantis had a strong enough performance to continue on, which he clearly did. And so let's pull up the poll for New Hampshire.
What if he just, with this, just killed my fucking...
Grab that. So, with DeSantis remaining in the race, him and Haley will be vying for that 11% from Christie.
Okay.
Trump will add the 5% from Ramaswamy. And
Good
it looks
game.
like the result may look similar to Iowa, where Trump will get half, and then it would seem that Haley will finish second and DeSantis third in New Hampshire. Looks to be the most likely outcome. And then Trump will destroy in Nevada, and then it looks like he'll even win in South Carolina, Nikki Haley's home state, because she's actually doing worse in South Carolina than she's doing in New Hampshire, although there hasn't been a ton of polling in South Carolina. So that's the state of the race. With DeSantis and Haley remaining, they're splitting that vote, and the more primaries that they go into splitting the vote like that, the more difficult it will become for either of them to achieve any kind of liftoff before Super Tuesday. Super Tuesday is coming on March 5th. So it's New Hampshire next Tuesday, Nevada is Thursday, February 8th, South Carolina is Saturday, February 24th, and then Super Tuesday is March 5th, Tuesday, March 5th. So, presumably DeSantis will remain at least until next time. They both know Nevada's a wash. And if DeSantis hangs on until South Carolina, I don't think either of them break out. And if neither of them break out, then they get slaughtered on Super Tuesday, and then I think they both end their campaigns. I think then it's done. I think either of them, neither of them will have a shot at that point, as long as things continue going the way they are. So, big night for Trump. Huge congratulations.
There
to
we
the
go.
big man. We ride.
We ride.
He's our leader.
Alright, let's continue watching the Nikki Haley speech, even though she's just being dumb. Oh, what the fuck? Must ended.
There's nothing more powerful than you making your thing happen. Really.
Whoa! Orange was a master?
Your terms.
What? He was not. I did not expect Orange to be a master. Huh. He was playing like a noob, it felt like. What?
Say to my husband, who is deployed, who I know may or may not be watching this right now, Michael, I love you. And what keeps me going is I know we sleep under the same stars. So I want to say to Rena and Josh and Nayland, I am so proud of you.
Alright, what time is it? Almost 10. Alright, I think I'm done for the day, actually. Not gonna play another game. Alright. Well, that's all for today. I don't know what we're going to do tomorrow, but we'll see.